Okay, thank you so much. Let me take this opportunity and welcome the colleagues from the Portfolio Committee and welcome the team, Department of Education, as led by the Honorable MEC. We are ready to start with our meeting. We are not going to waste much of time. We are going to start. This time, Honorable Moss, you are the one that is going to open our meeting with a prayer. Yes. Amen. There is a saying that you pray better when you pray in your language. So the good thing about this prayer by Honorable Smiley and Moss is that when you pray, we are able to hear that you are praying for us. But when we pray, it might not be easy for you to hear that we are praying for you. That was on a lighter note. Thank you so much. We will start with you. You know all the languages, and you must teach Honorable Moss. So we'll then move to item 2. I think we are all welcome, MEC, together with your team. And we can then move to item 2. We want to try our level best not to waste much of the time. The second item is attendance register. I'll check from our side if there are apologies. Then from there, I'll move to the department side if there are apologies. I know from our side, we have got apology for Honorable Ngobeni, Honorable Matlou, and Honorable Majumani. I think those are the 3 apologies that we have from our side. And from the official side, we have an apology for Mr. Sbabi from Communications. And then, oh yes, and Mr. Koza from Legal Advice. Then we'll move from the department MEC. Let's check if there are apologies.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair. On our side, we have got the apology of the acting HOD, Mr. Mashaba. We have got this week, the whole week, we have got technical meeting of the G20. He's attending together with the minister and the deputy minister and all our HODs. They are attending the national meeting for preparation of our committee for the G20 during the presidential visits by other presidents for the G20 summit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Those are the apologies, and I'm sure you're able to record them. An attendance register will then circulate. Item 3, can I have a confirmation of agenda, colleagues? Confirmation of the agenda, Honorable Molapo. Thank you so much, Honorable Molapo. Seconder, Honorable Munisi, thank you so much. And then item 4 is the briefing by the department. We are going to hand over to you, Honorable MEC, to brief us from 4.1 until 4.3. Then we'll be able to engage. I think that's the, yeah. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair, and let me take the time to greet the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee from our legislature for education. With me this afternoon, I've got the CFO as the HOD, as I've indicated that Mr. Mashaba is at the G20 conference, and also I am with the executive management. It's like I was talking alone without the high voice. I was saying good afternoon, Honorable Chair, and the members of the committee. With me here, I am with the CFO, who's the acting HOD, and the executive management members. We have looked at the reports that the committee needed, Chair, and we have they have delegated each other on who is going to present what. So I'm going to hand over to the acting HOD to take us through the 3 reports.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and Honorables, and
Apologies, acting. You'll just need to indicate that now I'm presenting this report, then now I'm presenting this report, now I'm presenting this, so that we are noting. I'm trying to avoid, questions from each, so that when we engage, we'll engage at a go. Thank you so much. Apologies for that.
okay. Thank you very much, Chairperson. What we'll do, we'll start with the implementation of the portfolio committee resolutions. I'll do this once and I'll indicate when we come to the two other reports. On the implementation of the portfolio, I'm going to indicate the ones that we have achieved. It will be in green, and those ones I'm not going to deal with them. On 23-24, the first one and the second one we have fully achieved, and the third one and the fourth one and the fifth. Then on the 6th, the one which the department should engage, Department of Public Works, we have indicated that there are 221 schools that have been closed and their buildings are currently unutilized. To date, a total of 35 schools have already been submitted to Public Works. The department will fast-track consultation with the Department of Public Works to repurpose the unused building for departmental use. Then I'll be doing the 23-24 third quarter performance, the resolution track, the number 7, which is number 1 for 23-24, we have achieved. Then number 8, it's partially achieved. The progress, the department is acting whenever negligence has been detected. In case of 30 days, payments, the relevant officials are submitted to labor. You need to analyze and advise HOD to act against them. This also implies non-compliance to relevant acts and regulations. Then the challenges, due to the high rate of cases, sometimes it takes time for labor to finalize their analysis. Then the intervention measures have been put in place to expedite long outstanding cases. Then number 9, we have achieved that one. Then number 10, there is a need for prudent spending on conditional grant. The progress, the unit have shown improvement by achieving 92% expenditure in 24-25 financial year as compared to the previous years. This financial year, our advocacy plan includes learners with special needs. All our activities are included in the procurement plans and specification developed to fast-track procurement processes for their activities. Then the challenges, resigning learner support agent for greener
Is it fine?
pastures.
Apologies, yeah, because there's one light that was direct straight on the screen. Is it okay? We'll switch it on, yeah, it's better now. Thank you.
Then on the challenges, we have indicated that there were resignation by learner support agents for greener pastures, which also had impact there. Then the intervention, newly appointed learner support agents assumed duty in December 2024 to target local learner support agency in future recruitment processes. Then number 11, it's partially achieved. The department should on quarterly basis provide a detailed progress on maintenance. The progress to date is that the total number of affected schools, 106, and here under follows a progress report. Schools completed, it's 9. Schools under construction, 97. And the challenges, some contractors not performing as expected. Then the intervention, there are penalty clauses enforced. Then we will go to the second on the agenda, which is the 24-25 quarter performance report. I'm going to ask the acting DDG to present on this one. Mr. Molope, over to you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members, Honorable MEC, and the Acting HOD, the CFO. The Chairperson, we have presented the full WET report for the fourth quarter performance of the department, which is from January to March 2025, to the Portfolio Committee, and we have received then the questions that relates to it. So with the guidance of the MEC and yourself, we would want to check if we go straight in responding to the questions that relates to the report, or we then have got to go and present the full report in terms of indicator to indicator.
Are you able to go straight to questions?
Yes,
Provided?
yes. Thanks. We have submitted a document in relation to the responses to the questions. I wonder if it can be flighted. It's a Word document.
As long as just
Yes.
to extend the size a little bit. Yeah. Much better. Yeah.
The progress in terms of the implementation of the House resolutions, that is number one. At the time of reporting, the department has not yet received the progress on the implementation of the House resolutions. So this would then be tabled or forwarded to the committee once they have been concluded. The first question, which relates to the provision of progress in terms of the implementation of the resolutions, we have now, as a response, attached A1, the Portfolio Committee resolutions, all those progress is there. And then the SCOPA resolutions are as well attached. I guess that the CFO would come back and present the SCOPA resolutions one by one, or the summary thereof that we have prepared. The second question under question one relates to the progress that the department made in the appointment of the accounting officer. The response is that the interviews for the accounting officer's post have already been conducted, and the department is awaiting the outcome from the Office of the Premier, who are the custodian of the recruitment process for this post. The answer to the third question under one, it's that in relation to the maintenance of the infrastructure projects in the province, we have given to the Portfolio Committee a detailed report as an annexure to this report, which is annexure B, wherein we are indicating a detailed report on the maintenance of the infrastructure projects in the department. 2, on economic classifications. First, dealing with the composition of employees, we are indicating that there are delays in terms of the implementation of the recruitment plan due to the higher number of posts in the plan and the higher attrition that the department is having. We go at length to further respond to this in terms of the questions that have been posed to the department as part of an additional report to this one. On goods and services, the underspending was realized in program 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7, where reasons ranges from a number of issues, protective clothing, delivery, and fleet services. And on transfers and subsidies, underspending was realized in program 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 5, and 7, which will be part of our financial report. Question 2, as I earlier on indicated, Chair, in response to question 2, in terms of the underspending of budget, that is A, we are now stating the details regarding the under expenditure on compensation of employees. as we state there, that the implementation of the recruitment plan is delayed due to a higher number of posts and the higher attrition. And we are showing or reporting to the committee that the 2024 year attrition, excluding the expired contracts as per the table below, you'll see that it's 2,986. So we have got a high attrition, and that is why, to balance the filling of the recruitment plan and filling of the attrition posts, becomes now a challenge, and we have the delays that we have. The table underneath indicates the categories of the terminations that we had in terms of the attrition posts. So you'll see all in all it's 7,588, but the 4,602 are for contracts that have expired, some of which we've got to then contract new employees for those posts as part of the recruitment process. For goods and services under administration, there were delays in the delivery of protective clothing in March, and the March invoices for fleet services, while toiletries were also not delivered. Additionally, March invoices for SETA services and photocopy charges were not received. Fleet services underspent on buses for hostel schools that have hostels due to lower than expected usage against the budget amount. Program 2, the reading calendars, school furniture, special needs learners assistive devices, and additional textbook experience delays. And verification for textbook delivered in March was ongoing, and payment will be processed in April. So the invoices for scholar transport and subject advisors workshop has not yet been received, and we had higher than expected textbook retrieval rates, resulting in reduced orders in terms of the LTSMs. The program 4, in terms of the in-school sports activities, were integrated and funded via public ordinary school budget. So due to stock shortages, the delivery of learner assistive devices and durable, as indicated earlier, were delayed. Program 5, the delivery of outdoor units and indoor play resources has not yet been received. Program 6, the conditional assessment of the head office, which includes checking offices that require tiles and other maintenance, it's temporarily on hold pending the appointment of a panel of professionals to do a comprehensive condition assessment in the whole departments in terms of all the structures that we have. The procured signage and assistive devices, as I again indicated, they have not yet been delivered in terms of Program 7. For transfers and deliveries, Chair, you will guide me if I still have got to go through reason by reason. But Program 1, funds for registering special school buses were not utilized because the buses were not delivered, and there was an over-allocation of modernized SASMs due to incorrect departmental allocation, which was later then revised. And payments of the leave gratuities depend on the submission of the claims. So then the underspent may be that we provided than the claims that we received. In terms of Program 2, the budget for public ordinary school is based on estimated learner enrollment for the first tranche, which actual enrollment considered in the second tranche affecting the initial budget and resulting in underspending, because we can only pay as per the number of learners in a school. Program 3, the 80,000 balance remained due to the debt taken with the incorrect regional identifier and the budget misallocation between primary and secondary school independent schools. Program 5, due to system error, 10 pre-grade 8 RECD payments could not be made, and the payments for leave gratuity depend on the submission of the fines. That's why we had that under expenditure there. The funds for appointing PYEI beneficiaries were allocated, which is the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative, were allocated during the first adjustments as a rollover from 2023-24 unspent budgets, causing an under expenditure on the UIF part of the payment. And the payments for leave gratuity, again, in this case, depend on the claims that we received. Payments for Capital assets, in terms of the under expenditure that we have there, the invoices for lease photocopiers have not yet been received from the service provider. And additionally, the procured motor vehicles and test operating have not yet been received. Therefore, those invoices were not yet paid. The cost of the procured teacher development audiovisual equipment was lower than the anticipated cost, and the procurement process for in-school sports could not be concluded due to the available budget being lower than the received quotations. And therefore, what was allocated could not be committed. Program 4, 26 special school buses have not yet been delivered by that time. And program 5, the procured photographic equipment has not been delivered, and the desktop printing equipment was delivered too late for payment in March. Program 6, the appointment, it's ongoing, and most projects handed over in February. These are our infrastructure projects. The procured forklift cost less than anticipated, that is in program 7. This is the forklift used for the examination documents that we pack in our storeroom there at head office. So leading to an overestimated budget, and the purchase order for office equipment was issued in March. B, what plan did the department put in place to prevent underspending of the budget in the future? The response is that monthly meetings are held with program managers and district finance managers to monitor spending trends, detect early warning, and provide advice in terms of how we can expedite this expenditure. This meeting also ensures remedial actions and mitigation plans are presented and implemented. The budget committee meeting occurs quarterly. C, why were there delays in the procurement plan and appointment of contractors? The implementation of the recruitment plan, as explained, is delayed due to higher number of posts and planned and higher attrition. And as for the appointment of contractors, I think that would be included in the infrastructure report further. D, why were the 26 special school buses not delivered on time? What we normally call GG cars, which means it's governmental vehicles, are procured through the tender RT57 contract, differing from standard dealership. So vehicles are built after finalizing the production schedule. Manufacturing 26 buses takes approximately 22 weeks. The department's order placed in October 2024 was scheduled for production on the 1st of December 2024, but halted on the 15th due to a factory closure until 15 January 2025. Producing steel, body panels, sub-assemblies, and GRP aircon systems took 6 weeks for the 26 buses. So assembly lasted from 22 February to 20 April 2025, totaling 8 weeks. And then ENATI's introduction took 3 weeks. Those are the reasons why the delivery did not happen in time. What impact did the non-delivery of buses have on the general functionality of the special schools? There's no impact, as the affected schools can borrow from other schools within the same district, which means that the provision of transport for these schools, we then use what is there in terms of the allocation that has been given to the other schools. On conditional grant, the lowest spending grant is MST at 63.9%. The EIG underspending was due to delays in terms of the posts that were filled, because as indicated that there were delays in terms of the implementation of the recruitment plan. The EPWP incentive spending occurred because salaries for the casual laborers and data capturers were budgeted for from April 2024, but appointments were made in September and November respectively, because of the challenges that we have in terms of quick implementation of the recruitment of the recruitment plan. HIV/AIDS life skills underspending was caused by the delayed SLA appointments and the frequent resignations. These SLAs, the learner support agents, are appointed on contract chair, And at given time, when they get permanent job opportunities or longer contract opportunities, they then leave the ones in the opportunity in the department and go for those ones. So we have frequent resignations in terms of this group, but we then fill the post after the incumbent would have left. ECD underspending, it's as a result of delay in terms of the implementation of the recruitment plan. And again, these are contracts employment, and therefore people tend to leave. Although the good thing is now DBE has allowed us to appoint these people now permanently, and this problem will then be done away with. Question 3, what impact did the average underspending of the conditional grant have on service delivery? Starting with MST, the department couldn't increase the number of teachers and learners who have access to ICT devices aimed at equipping teachers and learners with relevant skills for the changing world. Roman figure 2, which is Education Infrastructure Grant, the IEG. The average underspending resulted in deficient delivery of the necessary infrastructure to schools. Although the deficiency is eventually corrected, the underspent funds have a knock-on effect in terms of the financials of the following year. EPWP incentive, the underspending was due to the delay in hiring the workers, which directly impacted on the cleanliness and upkeep of government facilities and reduced employment opportunities for the period of the 3 months that are indicated. HIV, AIDS, and life skills, the late appointment of the 4 district DCS in Mopani, Sekhukhune, Vhembe, and Waterberg districts from April to November 2024-25 financial year had impact on service delivery and program implementation, leading to inadequate support for teachers and in schools. Delays in replacing resigned SLA has led to gaps in service delivery, negatively impacting vulnerable learners in selected high-risk schools. The schools which were affected are prioritized in 25-26 financial year regarding the support to teachers, but the learners were since supported upon appointment of the learner support agents after that gap period where we were still recruiting. Early Childhood Development Grant, the underspending on conditional grant had the following impact as a result of unfinished construction in the ECD center in Priska village in Mopani East. The department has started with the construction of a low-cost ECD center at Priska village, funded through the conditional grant. However, inadequate staff within the infrastructure division has led to the following impact in relation to the construction of the centers. Delayed completion, service delivery disruptions. Again, there are some cases where we have service delivery disruptions and inefficient use of the resources. The conditional grant was allocated for a specific purpose, but the underspending means that those resources would then be used, would not be used for what they were intended to do, leading to future funding constraints. And the department will apply for a rollover since there is a commitment in the form of appointed contractor in this respect. Why did the department underspend the budget on the MST grant given the challenges that the province has in these subjects? MST grant framework allocated 34% of the provision for provision of the ICT resources, including coding and robotic keys to schools. The BEC and BAC noticed that there were technical glitches on the TOR that made it difficult to evaluate the tender, and the department sourced quotation for laptops in February 2025. The department appointed 3 service providers who committed to deliver them in March. However, deliveries were made end of March, resulting in the underspending. Why did the department record its transactions incorrectly, resulting in overspending on some of the grants? This record relates to what we call wrong posting. So the departmental official responsible for capturing the appointments used wrong personal appointment codes, resulting in the expenditure for the grant post debiting in the other cost centers, not the relevant grants cost centers. Corrective measures have been taken through the passing of journals to ensure the cost is allocated to the correct cost centers. But The HR officials have since been provided with a guide for PESAL codes for all the grants to ensure that this error do not recur. The errors do not recur. Why did the department fail to appoint the relevant officials on time for different grants? The implementation, again, this relates to the reason that we have stated in terms of the challenges that we sometimes experience on timeous implementation of the recruitment plan due to the constraints that have been reported. What consequences did the accounting officer take against the responsible officials who contributed to the under and overspending of the budget? The department is acting whenever negligence has been detected. In case of 30 days payment, relevant officials are submitted to labor unit to analyze and advise the HOD to act against them. This also applies to non-compliance to relevant acts and regulations. Which measures did the accounting officer put in place to prevent the underspending? The department conduct monthly meeting with implementing agents to review their cash flow against the payments submitted, and the department will engage service providers to determine when they are not meeting their projected performance. The monthly meetings are held with grant managers to monitor and assess the trends in comparison with that, and these reasons augment to the reasons that were already indicated earlier, Chair, in the report. Program 1, administration, this now relates into now performance information. In terms of POI 102, the department output to provide 500 teachers with information technology equipment was not achieved due to the late availability of funds after the budget adjustment in October, leading to procurement delays. So we are planning to fast track the procurement, deliveries, and payment processes. Question 4 relates to how does the department plans to fast track procurement processes in the new financial year, provide a detailed plan. We are reporting, Chair, that we have attached the departmental procurement plan, which has been revised as an extra C to this report, and it is monitored on a month-to-month basis and quarterly basis through budget committees and reporting to oversight structures. Program 5, Early Childhood Development. In terms of SOI 501, the department exceeded the target of 2,238 by 44, thus resulting in a total of 2,283 public schools that offer grade R. The variance was due to more schools that introduced grade R based on the provisions of the Bella Act 2024, which prescribes the school-going age. Question 5, provide a detailed report on the age 0 to 4 years gender categories of the learners who are enrolled in the ECD program within the province. Response, the total number of learners enrolled in the registered ECD centers programs were 162,354, which composed of 98,561 females and 63,793 males. Provide a detailed response on the capacity building programs offered to qualified educators in ECD. Capacity programs are the teaching advanced literacy course with roads, equipping teachers on rigid methodology. Practitioners are trained on NCF to be able to prepare learners on formal schooling. 0 to 4 years are on stimulation program, which are play-based, structured around themes that help children learn from surrounding context. Seasons going, shopping, food, etc. The curriculum be organized along the development milestones of the learners. So these are the capacity building programs that we have for ECD learners. Provide a detailed report that links ECD learners to grade R, that is 5 to 6 years, and grade 1. 5 to 6 are still play-based, but the activities prepare learners towards literacy and numeracy. Exposed to stories, tell own stories, emergent literacy and numeracy strengthening of both 5 motor coordination and gross motor issues for cancellation preparing them for the formal formal education in grade 1. Program 6, infrastructure development. The output indicators in this program are PO, 5 SOIs, 2 POIs. On 601 and 603, the department planned to provide water infrastructure and sanitation facilities to 95 ordinary schools. The actual progress achieved was provisioning of water to 92 public ordinary schools, with a variance of 3, while 90 public ordinary schools were provided with sanitation facilities, resulting with a variance of 5. On question 6, why did the department monitoring and evaluation team fail to provide effective oversight of the contractors to ensure that the infrastructure projects are of acceptable quality and are completed within the prescribed time frames? The response is that the form of contract provisions was applied. Contractors were issued with default notices, although in many cases non-performance is corrected. Recovery is not possible. What we do here is that we then correct the non-performance, and I'm sure there are those contractors that may end up being terminated if they are not performing. What is the progress to date on the outstanding infrastructure projects? Chair, we are providing an extra D as a report in terms of what is required for that question. The last one is the measures that the accounting officer put in place to prevent the recurrence of this matter in the future. An additional governance structure has been introduced to intensify progress monitoring. As an addition to meetings that are held monthly with the implementing agents, a platform has been created where project levels reports are presented, non-compliance is identified and rectified early. Chair, that is the end of that report. The next would be the annual performance plan questions. The point being that the department has submitted the annual performance plan for 25-26, vote 3 for the Department of Education to the Portfolio Committee and to the legislature, including the budget that goes with it. If, with your permission, Chairperson, we can then go into the questions that were posed by the committee in relation to this report. In terms of the executing authority statement, the plans are in place to enhance reading comprehension for grade R 6 and 9. There are plans to provide ongoing support for independent schools as well, along with monitoring and ensuring compliance with Treasury regulations regarding fund access and utilization. Question 1, which plans did the department put in place to enhance reading comprehension for grade R3 and 9? The department has developed a reading plan which is currently being implemented in all grades, and monitoring and support are carried out by head and district offices on a quarterly basis. How does the department ensure that there is value for money on the budget allocated to independent schools? First, the schools are assessed for subsidy eligibility. Not every independent school is given its subsidy. They must comply with the national norms and standards for school funding, Section 145 and Section 146. To receive funding, for the schools must submit the following documents. We need audited financial statements, bank statement, assurance letter confirming efficient use of the funds. All subsidized independent schools are annually monitored to fund usage by the Educator Policy Act Section 8. Schools also provide assurance letters, like we've indicated, on the effective and transparency of the financial management and internal controls in accordance with the PFMA Section 38(1)J. The MEC, and I think this one may not be related to this question, because it's about the projects in terms of the improved sanitation. The MEC has outlined plans to add 85 classrooms and improve sanitation facilities in 100 schools, and the implementation of this project will be managed by the department. This is part of the measures that we are putting in place to ensure that we have performance in terms of our rollout of the infrastructure program. Question 2, how many projects does each implementing agent manage? So the department is requested or directed to provide a detailed report with the following information: the name of the project, so on and so on, as indicated in there. So we are providing to the portfolio committee as Annexure E the reports for the projects that are being managed by the implementing agent, and that Annexure E then spells out the entire program. In terms of the accounting officer statements, there has been improvement in school infrastructure, though with an outstandingly small percentage of sanitation challenges. So it means that we are doing well in terms of the sanitation implementation, and the department has a plan to improve teacher development and fill vacant funded posts. Question 3 on sanitation. How many sanitation projects are still outstanding? We needed to provide the details in terms of what has been directed. And we have provided Annexure F for all the outstanding sanitation projects. And priority 1 to 5 schools are outstanding, and all of them currently have projects in progress. The schools will be completed before the end of the calendar year, which is by end of December. B, on vacant posts, how many funded vacant posts that the department have, and when will they be filled, and that we are directed to provide the timelines. The department has 2,447 vacant posts, vacant funded posts. And the posts have been included in the approved 2025-26 recruitment plan. And the post will be filled by the end of the financial year 2025-26 as per the attached recruitment plan. We've attached Annexure G as that, and this is in line with the directive that has been issued by the Treasury in terms of the instruction note. So that's the process that we follow and the quality assurance that is done. Department's mandate in terms of the court rulings. In another court ruling where there was a dispute between the department and the Board of Trustees regarding the lease, resulting in the trust seeking the eviction order from the court. The order of the eviction was only granted when the department had found a suitable accommodation or place for the or place of learners for place of learning. For learners, and costs were awarded against the department in this respect, meaning that by the time we acted, there was already a decision in terms of the court. Question 4, how many schools in the province are on lease contract? The response, we have got 21 in the province that are currently on lease agreements. For how long have we been having this lease? The schools have been on lease for more than 10 years. The agreement have been renewed several times. And how did the department spend? How much did the department spend on those lease contracts? Response that we spent 4.1 million, which was paid for those lease agreements in 23-24. Which steps did the department take to assist those schools in acquiring land, avoiding paying the lease fees? The department has as a starting point acquired land to relocate A. Davidson Primary School and Metsatshetla Secondary School, which will be relocated to new sites. Does the department have a plan to acquire land to move those schools? The department is constantly exploring engagement with municipalities for land acquisition opportunities to relocate largely farm schools. External environment analysis. Regarding natural disasters, several schools, 12 out of the 3,619 that we have were negatively affected. 6 schools in Mopani East and the other 6 in Mopani West, and we have attached the report. How did the department assist the affected schools? The number of affected schools, it's 106, out of which 9 were fixed. And this is the overall schools that we have in terms of storm damaged. So it is so that there's no confusion in between the one above and the one that I'm reading now. So these schools, 9 were fixed, they are completed, and the outstanding schools are still under construction. What is the current state of the schools? Like we said, 9 have been completed, while 97 are still under construction. On tourism, mining, and agriculture, upon the establishment of the tourism, mining, and agricultural schools, the department will provide resources to this specialized institution. Some Quintile 4 or 5 technical schools that are already in existence have been identified as hubs to support the emerging schools that will still be providing resources to. Question 6, which technical high schools have been identified to support the emerging schools that are still required? We have provided an extra 8 of the technical high schools that have been identified to support those emerging schools that are still to be provided or are still requiring resources. On learner performance, the report highlights that some of the schools failed to cover the curriculum due to several factors, which include, among others, poor subject content, knowledge, and inadequate learning. So we plan as a department to strengthen the platforms for sharing good practice and peer learning. How does the department, that is question 7, how does the department plan to strengthen platforms for sharing good practice and peer learning? The department is preparing for realignment and relaunch of professional learning communities. Professional learning communities are a community of learning where educators collaborate and learn from each other to improve their teaching practice, thus improving learning outcomes. So the PLCs were launched by the Department of Basic Education in 2015, and the province made strides in implementing the guidelines, and the PLCs were established in all the districts. To improve the system, the department is planning to, A, we standardize the teaching collaboration period, 30 to 60 minutes per week, so in each school, 30 to 60 minutes will be spent in terms of collaboration at school level for teachers who are responsible for the same subject in grades or different grades to meet, discuss, and learn best practices from each other. And this process is currently being consulted with the structures to ensure that it is finally formalized. But we must indicate that in certain schools we have already made strides to get them start implementing the practice. Strengthening the professional learning communities through ICT. ICT has been identified to have a great potential to significantly scale up professional learning communities by enhancing communication, collaboration, and access to resources, which means that we can then use ICT to link up not only teachers who are in one school or maybe next door, but we can then increase the radius in terms of the collaboration that these teachers have. And online platforms that we have, like online forums, discussion boards, and video conferencing tools, we are used to facilitate the communication and collaboration against the members of the PLCs, regardless of their location. Shared documents and resources, cloud-based storage, which means that we then have documents available online for everybody who needs these resources to actually access them, share lesson plans, resources, and the best practices. Social media platforms are also used. There are groups that have been created to connect educators, fostering informal discussion and sharing of ideas and experiences. So the realignment of the professional learning communities allows for broader participation, personalized learning experiences, and efficient resource sharing, ultimately fostering a more dynamic and effective professionals. Teacher competencies. There are challenges in educator competencies, particularly in subjects like mathematics, physical science, and accounting. And the department will prepare the rollout of the teacher development model, which entails identifying sites and underutilized facilities to serve as a network for teacher development, a network of teacher development centers. So which are the identified facilities per district? We are saying that we will use various centers as we have identified them for the teacher development, as teacher development centers. And based on the norms that were provided by the DBE, we have got those centers as indicated in the table that is below. So we will be repurposing these centers for them to become very suitable for the purpose that we want to use them for. On infrastructure provisioning, a service provider has been appointed to supply school furniture with ongoing deliveries addressing the backlog. For the 2023-24 financial year, the department received 1.47 billion education infrastructure grant from National Treasury, primarily focused on water, sanitation, and major infrastructure projects, including the eradication of pit latrines. The department achieved 98% expenditure totaling 1.453 billion, with the under expenditure mainly attributed to employee compensation and transfers as explained in earlier reports, and transfers to chemical toilets. Question 9, this is the last question, Chair. When is the department going to address the high vacancy rate in the department? The response is that the department is progressively fills this vacant funded post on an annual basis. The department develops annual recruitment plans to fill vacant critical posts, which include attrition posts, based on the available budget that we've been provided. After we do the processes in the department, the plan is submitted to the Provincial Personnel Management Committee for assessment, and then there later, this committee is a committee of the Provincial Treasury and the Office of the Premier. When after the assessment, they then take the recruitment plan to EXCO for approval. How many schools needed school furniture and how many of them have been supplied and how many are still outstanding per district, per second. The list is provided as the Annexure I, Chair, and that is the end of our reporting in relation to the APP. And I'm sure the budget has been duly submitted and tabled by the MEC in the legislature.
I'm going to give the SCOPA update. I'll just summarize the SCOPA resolutions, just to indicate that the one that were not resolved, there are 22, and out of the 22, we have already met with Treasury, but it will be for the first quarter of the year, which 6 we have already agreed with them. So we'll be left with 16. And the reason for those 16 is a stagnant in audit outcome and key audit findings. The 2 resolutions are repeated in 2 financial years, and as the department is currently dealing with the qualification issue, it is hoped that the resolution will be resolved at the end of the current audit cycle, as indicated in the previous, with the Treasury indicated that if the department doesn't get unqualified, then this will be difficult for them to remove. But we are trying our level best, worked hard so that we can move from the qualification. Then the achievement of planned targets, ROPs and litigations. These resolutions are repeats in most of the financial year. Progress made to date on these resolutions will be submitted to Provincial Treasury in June, and we hope that even this one, it will be removed. Then with the lifestyle audit, progress made to date on this resolution will be submitted to Treasury. Here, the department has engaged SIU, and risk is finalizing the appointment, and we hope that before the third quarter, the SIU would have started with the lifestyle audit, and Treasury indicated that immediately after we have appointed, then they will remove this. So the resolutions that we have agreed that they have removed, it's irregular expenditure for 2014-15, 2016-17, and 2017-18, and section 101B investigations, then the 2017-18 investigations, and the 2021 SARS material irregularity will be removed. This has already been submitted to AG, and AG has agreed that it should be removed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. These were the reports that we have presented to the committee, and we have responded to the questions that were given. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you so much, MEC and the team. Those were the presentations as per the questions that were submitted to the department colleagues. I'm going to note hands that would want to speak to the presentations. I don't know whether I should know the hands or I should just stay starting from here until the last one being Honorable Maringa. Yeah, okay. In that order. He always wants to sit strategically, Honorable as Mali, all the time.
I was hoping to get last in today, but it's fine.
Yeah, next time we start in that side.
Honourable, there are two things that I would like to speak together, Honourable Chair. There's a comment that was made to say that there are challenges in educators' competency, especially around math science, physical science, but that there's a comment made in your response towards the questions. So my question would be saying, if you are saying that there are challenges in educators' competency, what informs you? What have you done an analysis? Have you done a report to say that is the challenge? So we've got 3,000 teachers, 70% of them we have got a problem with. I'm just trying to understand that statement because it's a very bold and a very strong statement to make. Your procurement report, bullet number 4, 5, and 15, makes specific reference to the state of, let's call it the state of conditional assessments of other infrastructure or the appointment of technical resource units. But if I look at those three combined issues, Honourable MEC, it's 150 million rand for the appointment of a consulting team to do the assessment. Then it's another 100 million rand for conditions assessment. And then there's another 100 million rand for suitable construction companies which are going to focus on grade R to grade 5 assessment. And I'm just trying to understand the three different contracts, trying to do one assessment at a school, you know, of infrastructure. Why the need to break it down to three when you could have done it maybe say with one? I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just trying to understand that 350 million rand spent for that conditional assessment. Because if we are spending 350 million rand on conditional assessment, and on your annexure I, you are making already a reference to the the number of desks or schools, although that I do think that on one of your slides, you copy paste. I think you said 15 delivered, 15 outstanding. It should have been 15 from 400 and something. So I'm just saying that your copy paste was just wrong on that one slide. But what will this assessment bring out that you haven't got currently? Your quality of learning, and especially the key focus on reading for 3, 6, and 9, which is appreciated, but I want to focus on the monitoring and evaluation thereof. What are you monitoring and how do you evaluate? How do you know that you actually are improving in that space? What type of reports are we presenting to the executive to say this is where we were and this is where we are now later on, so that one can determine that there is a meaningful impact in that space, Honourable MEC. I can see the efforts, but I can't speak to the meaningful or the quality of that space in that regard. I think there's two issues that doesn't sit well with me. I think it's you're underspent in your maths and science, and I listened to you saying of the late appointments, but I do think that there's a direct result impact on the under expenditure on that space. And Honourable MC, what are we doing to hold those people accountable for those underspent in that space? Because we are talking about close to 18 million rand, give or take, that has been underspent in that space. And what was that? What have you done actually to hold those people accountable in that space? The special needs buses that haven't been delivered. And I understand that the order, I mean, you order and then it gets done, but there was a comment made, and I'm sorry, it said something that the reconfiguration of the numbering were incorrect. It, I think, was on your number 1, on one of your first bullet points. I'm just trying to understand the impact on our learners there. What have we? Okay, let me rephrase my question. How have you mitigated against the need to assist those special need learners now? Because you haven't delivered the buses, and obviously there was an impact on the learners in that space. What did you do to mitigate that pain or that uncomfortableness that we have done, if you have done any like that? And I will come back to you if I need to come back again, Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon, MEC and the team. I just want to make a comment on the issue of budget spending. It looks like Honourable Smale have already spoken about the underspending on maths and science. And the worry here is this is a very critical area which, as the province, would like really to improve or excel, as much as we have improved in the results. But on this area, if we are still spending 63%, it might negatively impact the performance on the specific learning areas. And the same issue ya underspending for the department, it's also reflected in this previous financial year that you will underspend, but by the fourth quarter, everything gets to be spent, more especially on infrastructure, which we would want to discourage on a serious note. And also making sure that each program, because when you talk the total budget spending, sometimes it might mislead, because you will find that you have spent 98% and something, but there are programs that really have underspent, and which means the overspending on other programs might be causing that percentage that looks like you have this close to spend 100%. So I think it's very, very important that as we start the financial year, because though the first quarter now it's gone, but we need to pull our socks to ensure that each and every program spent accordingly. Underspending and overspending, it's something that we should not encourage, or we should not be comfortable with. We need to spend accordingly. And also there is an issue of maintenance. I saw the maintenance of the infrastructure. I think the target was 15, if I'm not mistaken. Then it got up to 17, which raises questions as to where did we get the money to exceed such a target, which really you cannot do without finance. There are other areas where a department can, or that program can exceed target, but without involving a budget. But on this one, you can't. And we also would like to appreciate if the department can move with speed when it comes to filling of vacated posts, because this has got an impact on the, if you don't fill the post, it actually affects you not necessarily only on performance, but also on filling of the vacant posts. When you don't have human resource, even when you have posts that are vacated, the budget is still available, you won't move fast, because that vacancy, it's also impacting on the performance in that space. So we really would want to appreciate that, we would want to see the department improving in that area. The issue of contractors who did not perform, I heard the presenter saying they issued notice of default, but the recovery, it's not achieved. But what is the next step then? We just issue notices, nothing positive that we derive from those notices, and what else that we want to do to improve the situation. Lastly, Chairperson, because there's still many people after me, Honorable Maringa at the end, the contract of Metsi Tsetla and the other school, I forgot the name now, more especially this one, Metsi Tsetla, I think because when we were doing our oversight, we visited this school once and listened to the stories and the challenges that the school is facing in terms of the situation they find themselves in that premises. It's not something to be appreciated, it's not something to be comfortable about. But over and above that, the money that the department is spending on the lease, it's something that we should be worried about. If you are not worried, we are very worried about that. That is why we would need to see clear programs of action dealing with this matter. To say we have been in lease for more than 10 years or for 10 years we are just renewing, that's not our problem. Our problem is the money that is being spent there, number one. Number two is the situation or challenges that the school and learners, teachers and learners are facing in some of these schools. I don't know the other schools, but Metsi I know because we have visited there and the situation did not really augur well with us. So would really appreciate if the department can have something, clear program to deal with these matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Greetings to the MEC and our delegation. Honourable Chair, I was mostly covered. I want to appreciate the report that was presented and the research that was done. It was really in-depth done. The questions, answers as well. Most of the questions are sufficiently answered. Just a few concerns that I would have. Also, just to hook on by my colleagues that already raised it, the math, science and the technology, the underspending there. And if we also look, I mean, they do say late appointments, but we look at a vacancy rate of over 2,000 posts. Can I assume that it is also critical posts in the math, science and technology? You obviously have a breakdown of what teachers and what posts is, but is it fair to assume because of the underspending, it is also because of these critical posts that is not filled as well? Also, I've also a concern in Program 4 with the buses that wasn't delivered. I think also there, our timeline is not correct. I mean, even though we say the manufacturer takes 22 weeks, we only ordered the buses in October. The production only started in December, and then the factories, and we all know industries, most industries close over December. If we were to get it in time for schools opening in January, I think our timeline could have been better managed to already done it in August or September to place these orders to have it in time. Because like Honourable Smaller mentioned, I think it had an effect on learner attendance, even though the person answering the questions did say it had no effect. They borrowed buses and transport from neighbouring schools. It still, there must have been time delays. It still had to be effect on learners and the other school attendance. Then just on the annual performance plan, I just want to note this, or just want to ask this, with independent school qualifying for funding, I see that you need bank statement, qualified audit systems. On what curriculums are they? Do they have to adhere to the department's curriculum? Can they introduce their own curriculums? And if they do, are allowed to introduce their own curriculums, is that first run by the department, or lack of a better word, is the department giving the go-ahead for that curriculum, so that we also have a say in the value of the education that goes in there. I think most other things were covered, especially infrastructure is also worrying, but there is timelines, there is outcomes to the suppliers that did not adhere to their timelines, and I hope the department can just monitor this better for future, especially with infrastructure. I thank you, Honourable Chair.
Thanks very much, Chair, for the opportunity. And greetings once more, Honourable MEC and your team. The questions that I want to raise, let me before welcome the reports. And join those who condemned the underspending, particularly in relation to conditional grants, specifically the Maths, Science and Technology grant. We hope that next time we will see developments in this regard. MEC, the issue of unfinished water infrastructure in our schools, I did not see the timelines. If we can be provided with the timelines so that we are comfortable that there will be progress. The issue of independent schools, I think the previous speaker tried to touch it, but my interest is to know if the department is able to monitor the operation side of the schools, because here you are more focused on the financial viability of those schools. I want to check if there are monitoring systems that you have to check their operations. I'm concerned some independent schools are using teachers that are coming from outside. And we want to check if we are able to check the qualifications of the teachers that are in the independent schools. There is one school in Beresford that I'm not going to mention its name. The teachers there are forever crying. They are from outside in their majority, and then they are not earning much. And if you go there on the independent school, check the schools that is coming from Beresford, the independent school, it has performed below 50%, if I'm not mistaken. It's 27, something like that. So it will be important for us to know if the schools are monitored in terms of that aspect. I don't want to misquote it, but I think it's Highland or Highland, ne? Yeah, check it. I think most of the teachers, they might not be having qualifications. Maybe they just know English because they're coming from Zimbabwe. But then you need to check the issue of high rate of vacancy. I think I've noted somewhere in your reports that is at about 50%, 49.9%. I don't know, is that the figure that is constituting the 2,447, 47, sorry. And I also noted that you made a commitment that from the 1st of April, you have got a plan to deal with those posts. I want to know from the 1st of April until now, how many posts do you fill? In relation to the schools affected by storms, I understand that 79 are still under construction. And I did not pick up from your presentation if there are timelines. When exactly are they going to be finished? The eradication of pit toilets, I just want to know how many schools we're still having that are using pit toilets. And then what is the plan and timelines in relation to that? There are schools that are having security personnel in the department, in our province. How many are those schools? And then how much are we spending each school? Maybe that you might not be able to provide today. But then we're interested in knowing how much are you paying per school in terms of that. And then how many schools do not have security personnel in the province? ECD, you said something regarding low-cost structures or building. And I just want to know, what are you compromising? Because low cost, it means there are some aspects of the buildings that you are compromising. What are those aspects? And then you quoted how many learners that we are having in our system that are registered with our registered ECDs. How many learners are you estimating that are outside the system, if you know? Thanks very much. I think those are the questions that I'm having. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Greetings to the MEC and the team. I think most of the things I wanted to engage in are already covered. I'll just have some few things to check. The first one is that one of sanitation that I think you addressed when you spoke about pit toilets, that it needs to be sped up, given the challenges that our communities are facing. I wanted to check on the posts that the presentation was saying we're having 2,986 posts, that were the costs being well tabled, that the factors that led to that one. All I wanted to check is, are these posts accumulative of the years, or it just happened within a year that we are experiencing such a huge number of posts? I know the Department of Education is very huge, and it may be cutting across all the divisions, clerks, professional teachers, and many other human resources that are in the department. And on the merging of schools, I just received a call yesterday from a member of the society getting worried about most of the infrastructures that were leaving behind after merging the schools. That is there any plan in place immediately after the merging of the schools that can save the remaining infrastructure? Because most of the time it seems to be a government that cares less about the structure that get dilapidated after we have migrated our learners. I know that it may not be fitting well into the exact question and the answers that you were giving that were provided before, but it's an outstanding cry to our members of the community. That's why I'm just saying, let's say it here. Maybe we can get a better answer when we respond to such questions to the members of the community. We can also have something to provide. Where I want to dwell much on the ECD, I know that ECD has migrated from social development to Department of Education. And as such, it leaves the department with a huge gap in terms of the infrastructure, because social development was not constructing structures, particularly the ECD schools for our learners. I just want to check the allocation in terms of funds. I think when I saw it's not enough to speed up the cash up on providing infrastructure. Is there any good plan or any request in future that will be made so that we can try to close that gap? I know it will take years. It's not something that can be done overnight. On the same way, on how do we professionalize the ECD space? I've seen most of the time it was treated like a by-the-way type, where anybody can be taken as a teacher in the maybe in the grade R, not necessarily referring to qualifications. So how do we now turn around that approach? And remember, many people are even the preschools, and in those preschools, individual who managed to have a structure can easily become a teacher. How do we go around and monitor that and make sure that we professionalize that space? And I've seen also a lot of young people who are also in this space of trying to become teachers in this field, and most of them are going to private institutions, precisely because I find that the universities, maybe the rules that they're applying to have them also are hard, or they're full, because now, our universities are almost full all the times. They go and learn at private institutions. But my observation has been that many schools don't regard such teachers as teachers, even if they are been admitted or having the certificate which says, but they are, it's becoming very skeptical for particularly principals to have them in the job space. How do we monitor as the department? I know I'm raising new questions, the others were responding to questions. Don't think I'm just irrelevant. I know why I'm just raising it, because it has also assists another area in the ECD that we find it very difficult for young people to have a space, even if they have qualifications, but they still find it very hard. Maybe if we share with our schools that for those who have been admitted by professional bodies, like SACE, obviously they qualify, because that's the only body that will tell if a person qualifies or not, because has gone through the required modules in order to become such a professional person. Those are the few things on the contract. I was also on the meeting when we spoke about the 21 schools that are still under contract. I think we have tabled the reasons why. But with this one, specifically on this one, Honorable Emisi, it has been a very appalling situation where we find teachers operating under very difficult conditions, where the lesser, or we call it the lesser or the lessee, can just switch off water when he so wish, can change the terms of a contract at any time, can limit the space where they said you cannot move on the side of the yard, you can move on this side. It's a very, 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 very human situation that we find our people in. I think if we try by all means to limit this type of situations where the schools are contracted, I know that some might be because they are on the farm schools, given the vastness and the rurality of our place. But these are some of the things that let's try by all means to reduce them, if need be, to a 0 level. That is the only thing I want to share with you, Missy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm using it. Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think I've got a shop steward voice. Holding. Yes, but where I am, my voice is audible. Where I am. Even the machines, they are even scared of my voice. Thanks, Honorable Chairperson, and greetings to the MEC and your entourage. Today I must just express this on a lighter note, MEC, that the department just found us being tired. We dealt with one, big department leader in the morning. And now we are told that we must come and again work with you in the afternoon. After we've ate a lot of rice. You can just imagine. Yeah, so be as it may, we are forced to work because we are getting paid as another arm of government to hold you accountable. You as the executive in your own department. Honorable MEC, in the last financial year, on your operational budget, you have surrendered more than 100 million. And again, in terms of infrastructure, you have surrendered more than 180 million, which you could not spend entirely, as you have been allocated by the provincial treasury. And you'll agree with me, Honorable MEC, that majority of our people are unemployed. And we're sitting here when many young people have graduated in universities, they are looking for jobs, and they've got nowhere to go because of the situation they find themselves in. And this is a traumatizing situation, Honorable MEC, because the department has been given a certain amount of money to go and do work, whether in the form of infrastructural development, whether in the form of hiring your teachers. But at the end of the financial year, you had to return budget, which is a cause for concern for many of us. My question remains as to, sorry, this year, how much are you going to surrender or underspend? Because obviously, we are still going to debate around this thing next year about this issue of underspending, which is a problem. To me, I called it a serious political crime, underspending. Because if we have been given money, we must spend it. Many young people are in business. We must check as to how many of those that are in business have been assisted in your department. How many of these young people, for example, women, when you go at home in a village, there is serious issue of gender-based violence. Women and men, boyfriends and girlfriends are killing one another. Because in one way or the other, someone at Ishichelet does not come back. In fact, it's not working anywhere. Is unable to provide something, food on the table. And the department has got a serious budget which is supposed to be used. And ultimately, we return money unused. And this is the big department. I was even asking my colleague here that I never, I've been here, I was so ignorant to an extent that I even forget that I'm a member of the legislature who's supposed to read this material. When they were presenting, for example, our people, when they were presenting the stats in terms of the budget that is allocated to you, I was so surprised that they're speaking about more than 40 billion. More than 40 billion. This department, the way this department is so huge. That is why I ask myself, it's true, if the department, Honorable MEC, is retaining budget, is retaining money, why do we in actual fact continue to have officials? They are there, they are fighting amongst each other for posts. They are even creating unnecessary red tape blockage, which made service delivery not to happen because of their own personal interest. Service delivery become compromised because the officials, to a certain extent, might not necessarily agree on a certain process of tendering. And for that reason why you check in the 2020, 2021, all those years, serious huge budget has been returned to the national coffers. And at least now must appreciate that there is an improvement. But still, this amount that we are retaining to the national or provincial treasury every year is too much. It's too much. And I don't think that we will come here next year having the very same issue that we have underspent. Now we are no longer going to raise technicalities of public works. I'm told in the executive where you fought, the good battle that you fought is to ensure that the department is able to work with the implementing agent. You can now construct the school apart from public works. Is the battle that I think you have won, at least from next year. I don't think that we'll be sitting here and we'll be talking about underspending. But what's very good about the village? but ba sokola. And because right now we are receiving salaries every month, it can be that from time to time we allow money to go back to the national coffers, whereas the money has been allocated to do job. And when we are the leadership or senior management of the department, we can't just be on top and do nothing. We are leading a serious department, Department of Education. When we do practical work oversight, we are told that learners are studying under the tree. We are told that the infrastructure is not good. Masenga awele, and they take time to repair. But yet, I'm giving you this political scenario, Honorable Speaker, Honorable MEC, so that, and I don't change the tone, by the way. Honorable Chairperson knows, I don't change the tone. Everywhere, this is how I address matters. So, this is a cause for concern. Maybe one is also interested as to how many schools that are you constructing per each year. And if we are to measure against how much or how many, if we are to measure your performance, whether indeed you are serious in constructing school. The issue of infrastructure, Yarikolo, we are going to take it serious as a portfolio committee from now henceforth. Because our people on the ground, they need more schools. So I want to know as to how many per each year, yearly, that are we constructing, or per quarter, that how many schools that are we constructing, so that we know that at least you said you are building 30, we can be able to see that indeed you are actually doing the work. With the very same schools that we are talking about, Honorable MEC, you know, I went to, at least I'm giving you the work that you must go and do. And that case that I want to refer it to you is the same case like many other schools in the province. The school there at Galadwaba. You have constructed a new school. Very beautiful. You left also the school that has been working here there for some years. But the school, which in actual fact you have left it, it doesn't mean that the school was bad compared to many schools that I've seen. That school is still good, but the school has been vandalized. The school has been vandalized. And what are we saying about the vandalism that is happening? How many of those schools that have been vandalized, and because we have constructed new schools and we have left them to criminals? Because in my own view, Honorable Chairperson, is that probably because in areas like that one, Yagale Dwaba, Tumushat, we would have protected that property of the state, and maybe give those traditional leadership there to utilize those offices and protect it. And many of the circuit in areas there in Mujaji, they are using, for example, one circuit which is far away from the schools that, for example, they are managing. And there are some of the schools that are similar to that one of Aladwab. The question remains is that if those schools, for example, have been vandalized, what is it that, why can't we just take those schools and use them? Because those are still our properties. We cannot just build schools for the sake of building. We build schools obviously because of the needs of our people. Now the vacancy rate that they spoke about, in one or the other, is influenced by the return of the money, because the money is there, people are on top of leadership, but they do nothing. Why are we not hiring, or are we filling those funded vacancies or posts? And how many, if we are to ask to join the chorus of honorable members, how many do we still have? Because I know that in the 6th administration, you were hiring more teachers. So how many are still left which are funded? When are we going to fill this post? Because in one or the other, the budget part of the reason it returned back is because we don't use this money. Currently where we are, we were supposed to receive money from provincial treasury or national department, more than 80 billion. We're supposed to receive more than 180 billion. But they can't give us because we don't spend. Over the past financial years, we've been returning billion rand, next to a billion, 100 million, and so forth. But there is an appreciation from my side that there is that improvement compared to other financial years. The technical school, are we supporting them? How many do we have in this province? What kind of support that are we granting this technical school? Because every time we speak about fourth industrial revolution, in terms of the form, the current scope of education that we give to our learners, obviously you agree with me that we have not yet arrived any nearer to any subject or any education that will make them equipped very fast to understand issues of technology. And these technical schools are the ones that can build these learners so that they can be demanded by the market at the ultimate end after they complete their work or their school. Most of our schools is life orientation. And this technical school, now I know this one, which I'm told, this one, Tom Nodia. Every time when you arrive there, they ask you, or no, at least, can we be assisted on this and that? But I just want to check from the level of the department as to whether are we in actual fact assisting them? How many are they? Do we have a plan to build them, to construct them? Because now I've got a problem, Chairperson. Continuous buildings of the schools, I don't want to call it useless because our people are still poor. But continuous building of schools without considering where we are now, it's a problem. We must build this technical school so that more these technical schools so that we assist our people. If in our plan, Honorable MEC, that at least, for example, in these 5 years, we can build two per each state-of-the-art schools in all these districts. But these technical schools, they are constructed on that purpose. It would be better. Because schools now we are constructing them on the basis that, no, our learners do not have a place to be accommodated. Mara, the purpose, I think, does not meet the standard of today's world. It's something that I think at your level you need to reconsider. That yes, in as much as there is a budget, we are building all those schools, but let's also consider that at least maybe in these 5 years, already we have got a 5-year, we agreed on the 5-year plan. We've set our target and so forth. But in these 5 years, at least, just two technical schools in every state-of-the-art schools. So that there is no history there. No history. It's about artisanship and all those relevant courses that the world today is demanding. At least we can say we are soldiers of the revolution. Feeding scheme, that is the last one. Travail feeding scheme, Honorable MEC. Okaralo no briefana kamo and agukushishi. I've never heard where, maybe it's because the early tendency, you offer maybe in a meeting. Mara, in all the meetings that I was, I'll brief you what is a penny feeding scheme. Overaka yoanga feeding scheme. Are our learners receive those feeding scheme in time? Are the people appointed are capable? How much is, of course, I saw the budget which you have allocated. Does the youth, women, people with abilities benefiting from all those things? Or maybe it's just a gentleman arrangement from the executive. Not from the executive, I mean from the management. Because yes, that is their responsibility. And that matter is not coming back to us. The last time when I heard was that no, the feeding schemes, contract, what, but as to whether people who have been assisted, people who have been, I don't know, Honorable PhD. So I just want, we must be updated on this thing. So that people who have been given responsibility are not lazy. We are doing so because we want to assist the department. Somebody tomorrow can come and wake up and say, hey, department, this and that. We will not be in a position to defend because we are not briefed. But at least if we know the processes, how you are working daily on these matters, we can able to say, no, hey, the department now is very working, and the people that are legit, these people, they know, because you would have briefed us. I'm going to say, hey, I get happy. Yeah, I think those people is possible. Because I'm not briefed on anything. And our politicians, more tlilega mazo. Utshwana le wena, honorable MEC. Were unfortunate, me and you, because those that in actual fact who have been hired, the intellectual through their qualification, are the ones who are compromising this government, and which is a cause for concern. And if, for example, we are not briefed, it's a problem. Mara, I'm happy because we agreed that from time to time, we are going to look at this thing, especially on the infrastructure project, on the construction of these schools and so forth. We are going to look at these things, business that are affecting our children. So that next time, this thing is really foreign nationals. The tenders have been given only to foreign nationals. These tenders for feeding scheme have been given so that they can go and poison our kids, like they did in those cases in Vembe. Let me stop there. Thank you.
all. No, thank you, Chair. Honorable Slani says I must use both the mics here. Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable MEC, and your interest. Thank you very much. We are not going to be deterred by the consumption of rice, my brother, from engaging. I think we need to soldier on because the department itself also relies on us heavily in terms of what do we contribute when we engage with them. It never works where you are a player and a ref at the same time. So our continuous resistance here, whether we are tired or not, is quite very critical for the betterment of the situation in the province in respect of education. Honorable Chair, I'm going to start by questions before I commence. This time around, I do have a question. The department underspends, Honorable MEC. We are worried about that. And I'm not sure what kind of explanation can the department provide one day for underspending. But the bottom line is that you underspend, money goes back. You see, if you underspend when things are proper everywhere, there's no crisis. We'll then say, anyway, there was no area where this money could have been spent on. But contrary to this point that I'm raising, we find ourselves underspending by almost 100 over. I know at some point it's about 720 something million rands that was not spent. If you take a drive in this province, you look at the conditions of our schools, or you look at the situations in the schools, not necessarily the infrastructure, just the processes of the schools and their position, you'll then start to worry as to why are we not spending money. So my question is, why is the department not spending money? And why is the department returning money? The second question in respect of expenditure. I've noted that department spends in I'm not sure how to put it. You are spending more money in the fourth quarter. I don't know what is happening in the whole system. I've been paying attention to it. Your first quarter the expenditure is, it's as if the referee has not blown a whistle to say, on your marks, get set, ready, let's go. There's no expenditure. You move. The fourth quarter, the expenditure is on another level. It's as if we are now spending to close the gaps of the underspending of the previous quarters. It's a worrisome situation. We wish to see a situation where you are spending consistently and accordingly. Because now, out of what I've seen when I go through these reports, I see a department that spends more money at the tail end, just to make sure money has been spent. We are just closing gaps. Other thing that I've spotted, Honorable Chair, I've realized that the department, in some programs, you see, it's as if some programs you don't spend. Then another program, you are spending too much. It's as if you are also spending to just have the money spent. So it means other programs are going to suffer in the process in terms of what you must implement, because you spend less on them, then you spend more on this other program. When we do the overall calculations and reconciliation, the department will spend money sufficient. You are still sitting at 96% in terms of expenditure, whereas other programs, you are sitting at 26%. Something is not well there. And yourselves as officials, you need to at least balance us and also change the situation, because my understanding is that when you don't spend in one program, you spend less. It means that program is going to suffer to a particular extent. Then it is ourselves and our communities who are going to be caught up in the situation to say, how do you account for this? There's a shortfall here and there's a shortfall there. There is an issue here. It's a question I want to bring to the department. What are we doing in respect of service providers who are not performing timeously? I'll also try and put an attempt in terms of responding or helping the department to get to this issue. You know, people who are dealing with contracts in our departments, I don't know whether you call them contract managers or those who are responsible for contracts. I think we need to have a very serious session with them, MEC, just to make an assessment of how tight are these contracts that are afforded to these people when they get services that they must render. Do we have an easy exit route? If you check
Half the time, government hardly has an exit route from a contract. People do as they please. People decide not to perform. You write them letters, you impose penalties, they still don't pay those penalties. It therefore means that to a particular extent we need to make a quick assessment and check how tight are these contracts that we give them. Can they assist department to exit and get out very easily? So that we don't have these things of situations of service providers not finishing the assignment or not performing on time. And you know what that says? Every incomplete project does not fall in the eyes of the officials of departments. It falls in the hands and the eyes of politicians. There's never been a situation where a contract has not been implemented. If it's infrastructure, when it's delayed, it is a politician. It will never be the CFO. It will never be the HOD. Never. You are nowhere in that equation of the public consumption. It is always ourselves, the politicians. At some point, the MEC can be lucky not be seen as that. Ourselves here, we are taking the fall for the mistakes and the errors of service providers. And the service providers are enjoying whatever they are doing which is wrong on the basis of the nature of contracts that we give them. So please, let's start to work on this one and see how best do we resolve this challenge. Let's talk about the issue of what do you call it? The conditional grant, the issue of this one. I want to pay attention specifically to it, the maths and science. It is, for me, it doesn't sit well that in 2025, when we are now saying we are in the 4th industrial revolution, we still fail to spend more money in respect of maths and science. I think we have spent almost up to 63%. And then what happens to the bottom line? I'm not good in maths, the 35% which we could not spend. And we're talking about maths and science. And we're saying every day, we want scientists. We always say, you know, when you tune on TV, when you look at the practices of a 7-year-old child in China or in Korea or in Indonesia, when you tune in, you see what kids are doing there at their earliest age of maturity or development versus what we are doing here. I'm not saying we must abandon all our traditional processes, but right now they are playing diketo, playing with tins of jump tennis. Those ones they are playing with tools, trying to manufacture a toy he has never seen before. Here we are, we want scientists, we want mathematicians, but we are failing to spend money dedicated to the process of maths and science. That's a problem there. We need to fix it. Whatever shortfalls that exist, which leads to us not spending the entire money in respect of your maths and science approach, let's close the gaps so that in the next range of life, we've got young people from our province very strong in respect of the math stream and the science stream. MEC, the issue of the schools that are closed, I think I've expressed an opinion about this thing in the past meetings. We are sitting at 221. You know, the politics of population dynamics are very cruel. In the sense that when all the schools that are closed now or merged, when they were constructed, there was a need. It means communities were quite very committed to the reproduction processes. Then over time, that exercise is suspended for a while. We don't have sufficient kids. Then we start to close the schools because there's no one there that the schools must service. But the difficult part or the most difficult challenge here is that government does not seem to have a plan in respect of the infrastructure that is left there once a school is closed. And that's a very serious problem. Now, if you look at our communities, MEC, we've got preschools or creches. Yeah, good creche. There's no village without a creche. Now, in one village, you find that there's just one plat. One plat or two, I'm going to call it a plat so that you can get a sense of what I'm talking about in terms of the paying. You've got, Honorable Slani has got a creche. This creche is just two plats, two room. One for the kids there, cramped there. The other one is their kitchen. But also the condition of that kitchen, if you can do an inspection there, you may just go in and walk away with your child.
and say, I'll make a plan as to where do I keep my child, because the space is cramped. 500 meters down the line, there's an abundant infrastructure of the department, a school. Literally, all windows broken. It has become a criminal hub. That's where people who are tormenting communities are residing at night. When we are resting, they are there and they do their plan, they plan their shenanigans there and go and terrorize community. But then you ask yourself a question. Is it not possible that we can have a discussion about all these schools that are closed and say, how do we keep that infrastructure in use? Can we consider a crash? Can we consider a security officer? Is there any other thing that is community related that can keep, just to keep the infrastructure alive? Because 7 years down the line, the exercise of reproduction may take another tangent. Now we have million kids. And with this purported move of increasing the social grant from 350 to 800, as we are debating it now in some other circles, the more you pick it up, the more the range of continuous reproduction may also rise. Then we now have many kids. Government has many kids, it does not have schools to house these kids, because the schools that are there have been damaged completely. What are we going to be doing at that time? Where will we get the money to start a rebuilding of a school? I'll give you a typical example of one school we went to visit during the Back to School campaign in Vuwani. That school has always received 100%. I forgot the name of that school. It's a technical school. It has got 3 teachers. The 4th one is the principal. He's a teacher as well. But they are performing extraordinarily good. Next door to that school, on the other side, they are divided by a bush, small bush. You can walk less than 100 meters. There's another infrastructure there. That infrastructure, it's an old school. This is where it gets very painful. It's an old school. Then there's this one. And this one, they only have 2 blocks. The other block can't be used at all because it has collapsed completely. When you look at the 2 MEC, you then realize at some point there was a school there, because that one, everything is still standing, still very proper. However, for some odd reasons which we did not ask why, another school was put up and people moved. Then you then say, imagine if this infrastructure was used for other reasons. Because here there's a challenge. When it rains, people don't come to school. It means they will then go back and say, may we, at least for 6 months, relocate you from here, allow this high school to be here because they've got more population as opposed to yourself. What I'm trying to do here, MEC, I'm trying to lobby the department to come up with a plan as to how best do we use this infrastructure of the schools once we have merged them with other schools. That is where I'm trying to speak at. The other issue about the construction of schools, MEC, I think when we allocate a school or when we allocate a plan, it's usually you allocate a school now or you plan to build a school today and you might put it together in 2027. Now, this is what happens in other communities. Department plans to build a school in this community in 2 years' time. You start putting together all the plans, including allocating that particular plan into your budgets. When the time to construct the school actually gets right, we start with construction work. Even before we do the roofing of the school, the other school next door also must be closed, must be merged because we don't have kids. Now we put up a fresh state-of-the-art school in a community which does not have people to occupy. My question is it not possible that as we plan to build a school in a certain community, prior to the actual construction, I'm not sure if law will permit that. If the law permits, prior to the actual construction, we relocate the school that we wanted to build from that community and look for another community which is in disparate need, or look for another school which is in a state of disarray, and rather build there as opposed to building a school in a community that is not going to have anyone to occupy that school. That's my submission. So you need to take your time, peruse documents, check what is the position of the law. If that is possible, let's do that. Otherwise, we are embarrassing ourselves as government. We build a school in an area where no one is going to occupy that school because the population dynamics have dictated otherwise. So we might as well just say this school, instead of building it here, let's improve this one. Now, still on schools, I have a submission to make here. Honorable Slani spoke about technical schools. You know, the unfortunate part of it is if you are to count them in the whole province, you may not have 12. I don't think 12 is even maybe a big number. The fewer the technical schools we have, the less support we are still giving them. I'm not sure how we want to produce the artisans that you are speaking about. I don't know how fast we can get there. Because a product of a technical high school, when they migrate to a TVET sector, it's so easy for them to move and flow very easily and come back and create their own infrastructure and start employing people. My submission here is that can we at least pay more attention to the few technical schools that we have in respect of support, particularly in the infrastructure component. They are there, teachers are there, but infrastructure ones, the actual infrastructure that relates to their studies, we are lagging behind as a department or as government. We have not been able to do well with those schools. Similarly, it goes to your agricultural schools. These two are more or less the same. They suffer the same fate. The kind of support that they get in respect of infrastructure is concerned, it's so heavy and so difficult that they are not even encouraged to go to those schools. Majority of young people are not encouraged to go to technical schools. They are not encouraged to go to agricultural schools because of the state of the schools. I'll give you an example. When you go to the school here in Tzaneen, the agricultural school, when you walk in, you can feel that everything about you as a human being is agriculture. It's a farmer. You feel it indeed. When I woke up, I looked for a farmer. And everything I've been doing, I've been looking for a farmer until now. When you go to the other high school in Venda, I forgot the name of that area. I think you know it, MEC. If you can put the two of them, it's as good as you are looking into two countries. It's like you are looking into two countries. You are looking at Madagascar and you are looking at Canada. Far apart from each other in respect of infrastructure. Infrastructure that relates to their specialized field of studies. What does it take for us as department to be able to see these things without the community complaining about them? I'm not sure. The other part that I want to submit, MEC, maybe we need to have a team within the department that deals with schools audit. I don't know how many months it's going to take them. If we don't have a team, we can create some small jobs for some interns. For 6 months, hire these graduates who are unemployed and send them in the field to do infrastructure audit for us, for all this, so that we're able to get a sense of what is happening. I know for a fact the HOD will not necessarily have a chance to run around all this. Even yourself, you may not be able to run around all the schools. The province is too big. In fact, we are bigger than other countries in Africa as a province alone. But we need to have proper information about the state of these schools, irrespective of what they are. Marinsky and that one, they are the opposite of each other. There's hope that my son can become a farmer one day. I'm giving it a try. You see, I'm giving it a try. On the other side, they're like, no, I've got confidence in this infrastructure. The other submission I want to make, this one is about curriculum content, MEC. I'm not sure which unit deals with it. But I'm sure there's a unit within the department that deals with it, whether here in the province or nationally. Years ago, I know when I was in primary, it was on Thursday. We used to love Thursdays. Because on Thursday, we had a period called agriculture. We used to call it gardening. So for us, the joy was about being outside. And we did not understand that whatever the teachers are making us do outside is very important for our own development. We used to have, it was a subject called gardening, if I remember well. That was the name of the subject when I was young. Gardening, not agriculture. Then we went to high school, we were told it's agriculture, and then we went back reconciling clay soil, loamy soil, and topsoil. Then it was just a transition, a proper one. Now, I want to lobby here, MEC. I'm not sure how these discussions must be carried out and where it belongs. If it belongs to the legislature, I'll keep lobbying there. But if it belongs to the department, I'm making a lobby here to say, maybe we need to consider to have some subjects, including this one of agriculture, being a serious subject in our high schools. Very, very serious subject that must be part of all the grades that are there. I'm not sure how we can manage that part, but I know it's doable. Because at some point, I remember I used to do math, science, and there was agriculture because I was running away from geography and vice versa. But I'm thinking we are a farming province. Now, how do you become a farming province which does not have 12 agricultural high schools, honestly speaking? How do you want to farm? Why are you going to teach these young people how to farm? It's not going to happen, that thing. So I'm vouching for a curriculum review of some sort which must pay attention to this process of agriculture. In other countries, a province which is rich in respect of mining, there's serious mining activities happening there in terms of education. When it's agriculture, there's serious agricultural activities happening there. If it's about technology, there's serious schools in that specific province that deals with technology. We can't fail. These are low-hanging fruits that we can put things together for the benefit of our people and we can get them right. That is a submission I wanted to make in respect of that, your curriculum content. The other component is this one, MEC, which I think we lose it from time to time. In the villages where I come from, next door village there's a school. When the school was built from the ground, it was declared a commercial subject school. So I knew very well that people who are very close to a calculator, I think I would have went there if my parents had a calculator for me at the time. I went for 3 months, I realized 3 months down the line, no one is willing to buy me a calculator. I realized this thing I'm going to fail. I went back to do your geography where you don't need your calculator and history. Then it was easy to pass and pass and pass and finish. I think to a particular extent, MEC, we have not invested much in what we call, I may want to call classification or categorization of high schools in respect of streams. I think we need to go back and see how best can we invest. We need to have purely science streams, purely commercial streams, and what used to be what general streams. I don't know what we'll call them in this fashionable concept lately, where my son will know very well that because he wants to be in the commerce field, I take him to a high school where commerce is being taught from the very same grade of grade what? Standard 7, what standard 6 is what now? Yeah, the first grade in high school. As opposed to, I've picked up something, as opposed to choosing subjects at grade 10. Because the other weakness is this one. Our people are caught up in learning multiple subjects. Finder. I call it finder. You are finding until grade 10. When you get to grade 10, you only have how many years? 2 years to prepare to pass matric with flying colors in respect of a stream. That is when you now begin to choose which stream am I taking. And when you look back at a grade 6 and 7, you were not focused on any of the streams. Now you start grade 10 and you think you are doing well, you do it right, you go to grade 11. Now you start to see a ghost in respect of the stream. But you push because there are good teachers at that school, they take you to matric. And go to matric, then you meet a lightning. Wabba, you are not passing first round. You must come back again next year and you must plead. I am making a submission that we also need to try and reconsider. If in each circuit, MEC, it may not be you may not have it every village. If each circuit can have dedicated schools, this one's commerce, this one's purely science and maths, like what it used to be in the past. In fact, some of these things, Honorable Slan, is what make people insult us today. Because our government gets insulted on the basis of what the then Gazankulu government of Tsangwisi used to do. The then government, then Venda used to do in respect of specific schools that are teaching science and that are teaching commerce. Like the likelihood of the story of Ketengomalo, if you remember very well. I can't remember the schools this side of Luwako, but I know there used to be a system like that. And for some odd reasons, we thought we were doing better, but we missed an inch in respect of how to connect this thing. We are looking forward to a situation where some of these proposals are brought forward by yourselves there as officials of government in respect of the the Department of Education. MEC, I'm worried about the situation in Ribon and Stutulwan. Please bear with me. If some of these issues we are raising here do not belong to the report of today, just absorb them and accept them. The last time we went to Ribon, there was a crisis in terms of completion of that infrastructure. And the blame was going to the service provider, that the service provider is not finishing up. Here, in Stutulwane, it's a despicable situation. And what makes it worse is the people that you find there. Those people there are in need. They are people in need. But the conditions there are not favorable for the people who are not in need. So what more for those who are in need? Can the department at least please fast track the actual completion of these two infrastructures in respect of the needs in those schools, so that we, for a change, our department must not be in the news. You know, there's no day where you open, there's another channel there in Mganalonene. There's no day that you open that show of Kalanga, that 12 o'clock show, you know, MEC. There's no way Ribone does not pop up. Africa, there's no way. And it pains you when, if you're in a car, you are listening and you can't call and comment. You can't even call and clarify because you are saving the legislature. You must just listen when government is getting bashing. But you're like, and the people who are getting bashing is ourselves, the politicians. There's never a day where they say the CFO ran away with money. Never, you are safe CFO, you never run away with money. Politicians are the ones who are running away with money. That is why projects are not completed. If we can put pressure on the service providers, push for them to complete the actual work on both sides, let's take care of the needy people. And I can tell you, even ourselves here, in Stutulwane, we may not survive a week. We'll have lost weight there by the conditions. We'll be stressed too much that we don't want to live in those places. So let's do something and assist our people there so that we get things quite very well. The last issue I want to touch, I know my colleagues spoke about it, but I feel like I need to put a word about it. This situation of Metis Settler, my only comment is simple. Please resolve it. If indeed a land has been committed elsewhere in terms of the municipality, let's identify. Let's move one project to the other. I'm making a submission, acting HOD. Let's move one school that we want to build in another area and build it there, so that we move our people. And I've observed the tendency about that school. The landlord there is a good person during the course of the year, in some months. Wait until you are moving towards matric exam. Then you are going to feel the wrath of a man who owns a piece of land where you are paying rent. If there's a school who must build elsewhere now, let's see if we can relocate that school, depending on the pressure, and build there, so that our people can have schools that are proper, they can go to school, and then they can write their matric proper, and we can produce. Then we can continue to climb the ladder. We want to lead. MEC, I'll tell you one thing for fact here. This province, it's a supplier, it's a reservoir of knowledge and capacity. If we can wake up in the morning and say we're calling every person who's from Limpopo, in Gauteng, in government, and in parastatals, in all those entities, I'm telling you, they are going to collapse. If you are going to withdraw all people who are come from this province, in the Free State province, in the Northwest province, and say, come back home, all of you, government in those provinces is going to go to its knees because our capacity and our skill is deployed there. We are not withdrawing them because they are still servicing South Africa. What I'm trying to demonstrate here is that we have a potential and a capacity to move from the position we hold in terms of national achievement with regard to matric to lead as we are leading the whole country. And we must come back number one. But for us to come back number one, we need to fix all these problems that we are submitting to you. And I think I'm going to end it here just today. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Today I kept time. I stick to my 15 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know why my pointed fingers at. I have a problem with people whom I open a service point for them and give them plates in their hand. They put whatever they want to eat. When they finish, they are saying they are not enough. And I did not serve them. Here they are. Because I thought everybody was given a leeway. And now you are raising your hands. He's saying it's fine while he's raising his hand. I'm going to give each a minute. Because I want to believe that you were provoked by those that were raising issues. And actually, everybody that raised issues, you were just stamping on what has been raised. And I hope you're not going to do that, Honorable Smiley. Then Honorable, actually, you will be the sweeper. Agram in charge. He will start, he will follow, and he will sweep, and I'm closing. Is there another hand? No, I'm seeing another one there from Malbo. 111 each.
Okay.
Yes. I know you don't want a jacket, but it's okay.
Chairperson.
It has been long, I understand.
Chairperson, thank you very much. I've noted on the COE expenditure that you went nearly 300 million or 30 million, I'm just depending on the zeros that I'm leaving, that you went over budget. And it is concerning on the one hand, and then you make on your observations, you say the shortfall over the MTF is estimated at 1.4 billion, 1.424 billion, and 1.7 billion in the outer years. And it deals with how are we going to deal with the vacancies, MECs, because I don't think you are going to get more money from Treasury on that amounts coming up in the MTF. So are we seeing, a difficult question, but are we looking at maybe cutting COEs going forward? If I look at the numbers here, Chairperson, because I don't know how we're going to cut that. I will close with Annex D. And Annex D is your incomplete, your list of outstanding infrastructure projects, Chairperson. And I'm looking at one, for instance, in Mupani, a water sanitation project. It says, the first column says, start 7 February 25. Then column K talks about construction start date, which goes back to 2023, and then 2023, completion 2024. If I look at these dates, Chair, I don't want to go into each of them, but they're not making sense. And it's also not clear where we are with the project. I cannot think that we are maybe at zero or zero expenditure or 0% of the project. So I will ask that they will rework that Annex D and I, that it links into the expenditure where we are on the expenditure on that project, and maybe also on the completion percentage on that, Chairperson. If we want to do oversight as committee, we know where we are. Thank you.
Is me on? Okay, thank you very much. Oh, this mic is on, right? Oh, I thought maybe it's... Thank you very much. Chair, once again. No, man, I was not triggered by the previous speakers, but there's something that I really, I thought we'll have the second bite. So the issue that I want to raise, Honorable MEC, is in relation to this culture of this department of always being in and out of court on matters that relate to the contracts that they conclude with service providers. If it is not feeding scheme, debacle is another thing. And now we know for a fact that there is an issue around supply of furniture and, supply of furnitures for our schools, an issue that is being litigated in courts. And then we want to be taken into confidence around this matter. We know that somewhere around August, if not last year, around July, you terminated a contract, if I'm not wrong. And instead of going on an open tender, you opted to go to Northwest and then source the furniture. And then this matter now is in court. And we know that if you lose in court, this will lead to irregular expenditure, which is going to impact negatively on our department. We want to be briefed around this as to what led into you not prioritizing the local suppliers. You go and pass many provinces to go and then source things that we can get from local, so that the issue of creation of employment, which one of our colleagues here has raised, Chair, can be put into context that it is these kind of departments that are really disadvantaging our local businesses and opting to go beyond many provinces to supply things that can be supplied here. And if we can be taken into confidence around this matter, Chair, I will be very comfortable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair. Indeed, we have spent the whole day. Chair, I just wanted to emphasize one thing on the curriculum. To the MEC, if there's any that limits us to start changing things, let's do the changes. I'm precisely on the technical high schools as well as agricultural schools, because we cannot continue like we are a community or a society that does not have any interest of making sure that at the end of the learning, a learner will always have opportunities, maybe in the form of sustaining himself or herself, in the form of getting employment, or in the form of furthering his studies or studies. Because we're at a situation where most of the time we're having a curriculum that at the end of the day is frustrating our children. Maybe just to pick up one example, I'm trying always to check this subject called life orientation. I don't know if it's a subject or it's just an addition that when the teacher is not available for doing the teaching, then there will be life orientation. We used to have, for those who were there, Honorable MEC, we used to have home economics. You remember that one? Today, I can see a lot of young people who are on a lighter note, who are getting divorced because they can't cook. I'm just joking. But what I'm trying to say is there were skills that we're learning out of that. There were very serious skills. You can see a child with a torn shirt, a torn skirt, who can't even do the knitting on that one. Very basic things that we live with them every day. But we are in a society that we've abandoned the basic things in life. My submission is can't we just make a shift in making sure that we move away from this normal way of having subjects that are very generic, that you can't even learn much about, or once you cannot make it in life, you can't make use of the little that you have achieved, or you got at school. Just to agricultural, technical, maybe blend your life orientation with this, because there is no learner who's failing life orientation. Thank you so much.
Just because you can't say you must just be able to say, as a department, because it's a policy made. Yeah. It's not here at a provincial level. Just to go to MINMEC, sponsor this thing of re-looking into this life orientation as a subject and start to look at technical subject. So without making a turn there and then come back. The same with Molapo. I guess you must just be able to say, because when you say to me, why are you always in court? Look, it is a democratic country. You must be able to say, what do you think makes us not bargaining to be litigated? Because the reality is an open country. Even if Mwanaba Samuchi these days, people go to court. If your child is not admitted, people go to court. And you can't say, why are you always in court? You need to structure your question in such a way that at the end of this meeting, we have a way forward, because you must be able to follow up on the issues that you are raising with the department. When I say a minute, you all take 5-10 minutes again. You are the last one.
I'm not going to speak, Chairperson, in respect of time. By 6 o'clock, 4 of your members are getting into another meeting. I'm scheduling my 2 comments for the next meeting.
Thank you so much. That's because yeah, I know you are the ones that took time, and I can't be blamed. And my meeting must complete its business properly. So Now, I think, Chair, as I'm closing on the question part, but not necessarily the questions, I think there is one a concern that I must raise with the department through your office. I'm happy, Tsagani, you are here because you are the ones that's dealing with the administration of the office of the MEC. We wrote a letter, that which we said we're supposed to have got a response by the 30th, which is yesterday. MEC will raise critical issues that need an attention, I think, as our, because as and when our officials are conducting we call it what? Yeah, they are able to pick issues that we feel we can't wait, we need to raise with you urgently. There are issues like, for example, where a service provider, Malachi, has handed over a school, but the school is not yet connected. Electricity, but they've handed over. And the other one, you find that they have disconnected in the process of constructing the new ones. When they were supposed to go back and now reconnect, they don't do that. They pack their things and go. And I think we've written a letter, MEC, the schools are Matsibe Secondary School in Magalakwena, where there's no water because the borehole was not connected, and the service provider handed over the project to the school, and the school have accepted. And there is two, the Rampilani Secondary School, where the old building now doesn't have electricity and the lights because it was in the process that they did not collect the rubbles and all those kind of challenges. I think we've written that MEC that they need an attention as urgent as possible. There's also Padima and Serake Secondary School. I think the letter MEC is able to give all the details and what is expected to be attended to, because some of these things we pick them up before the community now take it to the street, at least if you are able to urgently arrest those situations and we are able to assist as a department. Now the second one, which is we just want to check with you as to whether are we also taken on board on what we call a school democracy education program, where they teach these learners about democracy and the importance of voting. I'm not sure, it's just a question of checking as to whether we're also taken on board as a department. I think other issues I will not be able to raise. They were able to represent me in terms of, they've raised all the issues that I've noted that I wanted to raise with the department. Without wasting time, I'm going to hand over to you, MEC, to respond to all the issues as raised. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chairperson, and the honorable members of the committee. We will not write another big presentation. We'll try and be clear on our inputs. And I think from the CFO and all the teams, if they do not have the direct answer now, they will indicate. But I think much of the issues that have been raised, it's some of the issues that we are dealing with currently. So I'll just quickly deal with some of the issues. The executive management members will mark off what I would have spoken to so that then we don't repeat. Just to start with the issue that the chair is raising on democracy education. We are going to launch it here in Limpopo. We are told DBE has actually sent my office a letter to say the minister might want to come and launch it here. We are just trying to finalize the venue because I think as a province we should decide where it goes, where we feel we need to. Under our arts and culture subject, we do have democracy, and I think under history as well. We do have some historical information that, or as a subject that we do on democracy. But the program is called Democracy Education. We will also be partnering, it's ourselves and also IEC, because we feel that there's a gap for the young people who are at schools to be able to understand how their own government works and all that. So it is a program that will be launched, and then as MECs will be running with it in the province. But as Limpopo, I've already taken a decision that I'll also be including primary kids, especially on the preamble program of the Constitution. You know those competitions that they do, and also singing of the national anthem. There are little ones that do not know their national anthem. we will try and respond to the letter. There was an acting MEC, Makamo. I'm sure the team did not give him the letter when I was not in the country last, but we'll attend to the letter. There's an issue, I will start with them going back. There's an issue on curriculum that have been spoken. I'm sure DDG Milan will speak briefly on the 3-stream model, because that's what they are asking about. But I want to talk on the issues of home economics. Our subject now is called Tourism and Hospitality Studies. It's no longer home economics. Our apology, Honorable. Yeah, it's hospitality studies. It includes that. Just in a brief, there are decisions that we have taken. DDG Smelani will speak to the curriculum issues. But the 55 specialized schools that we have taken a decision on as EXCO speaks to the corridors of Limpopo. That is part of the Limpopo Spatial Development Plan. So the corridors will tell you that in this district you have got more agricultural soil than in another district. Then we are going to create specialized schools in that manner. We'll follow the corridors. So, but they will speak to that. There is an issue raised on vacancies. As much as Mulope will speak to the other questions that are going to be asked, we have started a process. It comes back to what he's raising. Or are we going to take money somewhere and do all that? We have started a process with the Treasury as EXCO, where we have said departments are meeting Treasury to discuss the filling of vacancies and how we'll sustain it. And I think Mulope will speak to that, because those decisions and meetings have started. And especially us as department, because looking at the high vacancy rate, we are saying, how do we sustain it in the Ntwena? So you'll speak to that, but there's an EXCO decision on sustainability. But on the ones that are accumulative, we have to advertise because the budget is there. It's true on the Metsi-Setla issue, the landlord and the NPO. The story of Metsi-Setla is like this. The landlord is it's a doctor. He owns that piece of a land as a white farmer. But also they've got an NPO. That NPO fundraises money for the community, because this is a farm community. So that NPO has got money that they receive from overseas. I'm not privy to who are the funders. So they then say, we are doing work for the community. I'm emphasizing the community so that you can see that when it comes to the school, the arrogance is very bad. But the same NPO and the owner says we are doing work for the community, because that is a black community. So what has happened is that when we do, I've had endless meetings when I joined in the 6th administration. So we ended up arriving where we have arrived now, through the lawyers and through the owner, and we had to really get it dirty and clean at the same time. But the good story that we can tell is that the municipality has given us land. The school is going to be built. It's just that from your planning processes, which we have started, the municipality gave us the land through the council resolution. They have even cleared the site. So we are busy with the normal processes that are happening, and we have already started with the planning phase. The bitter part of the story of Metsi-Setla is that we have tried now with the mobile toilets that we are having to improve the situation on sanitation. But I think the landlord, the owner, has refused us taking in better. You see the abolition blocks that the mines are giving now, it has got a septic tank. So they've refused, because the argument between us and the white owner is that they don't want us to create a septic tank sanitation program there in the farm, where we are saying it's a school. So they have refused even now for us to give better abolition to the school. They say it's not part of it. But the pain is that through the NPO, they've gone overseas to get money and build waterborne toilet in the same yard. So for the community, they are saying, Bona, they have got a program. So a child of that area will go to the side of the Department of Education where I can't build toilets for them and use these ones that are there. The same child at 1 o'clock goes to this NPO and get a waterborne toilet. So these are the inequalities that we are still finding ourselves with the leases that we have got with farmers in this province. But we are going to build a school that black child will have a proper sanitation. And I'm not sure if the NPO will follow us to still give them the other issues. It's a painful situation, so we are dealing with it, and my apologies, honorable members, that we took time when you have gone there to deal with the issues. And I think on the other infrastructure, the members will deal with that. We have also, on the agricultural schools, we have got an MOU that we have done with the Department of Agriculture. Just to address that, because remember, there are schools that before they were agricultural schools and parents were paying school fees. And there are other schools that are agricultural and parents were not paying school fees. So these will be two wells indeed, but through the agricultural grant, we have then said, we are going to first to look at how we'll address them. So they are going to be part of the 55 specialized schools. So agriculture, we have signed an MOU for the support on how do we give the agricultural learners. But remember, when you speak and give an example of your time when you were doing gardening, we are supposed, currently our 3-stream model is supposed to equip a learner to say, even though it starts at grade 10, but we are supposed to align them to the profession that that child will go. So we can't continue to waste your time, a child's time, by going to the gardening when they are going to be in another field of science or of engineering. So that is how our curriculum is actually. We understand the question, and as you know, Honorable, that the question immediately, it involves the lawyers. We cannot talk about it because it's sub judice. The information, we are live streamed now, so we don't know who's watching us. The information that we can say is confidential, it is not when we are at this platform because it's already a public platform. So the fact that the issue, as you raised, of the tender is with the lawyers is sub judice, will not give you additional information. And then there's a serious issue that you have raised on the underspending. Chairperson, we want to really acknowledge the issues and the inputs raised. I think it's one of our problems that when we are adopting our APPs, even this year, we were fighting that issue of putting things to be done on the 4th quarter. We are supposed to plan to start to implement, and already, I think on the 1st quarter, we are down by 1 point something already as a department. There's an issue that I think on the feeding scheme issues, the current contractors have improved in terms of supply. They have improved vis-a-vis what used to be there in terms of children going on days not eating and all that, but in terms of percentages and other things, they will be able to do that. Our concern, or my concern as a head in that department, will be that no matter how many young people and previously disadvantaged, they still go to the big companies and give them. Like in Mbembe, they will go give to the cash and carry. And then those cash and carries will be the ones that goes and supply on behalf of the supply. So these are some of the debates that honorable members can be able to address. There is a 2024 of us surrendering money inclusive of the 180, the most spoken about 180 million for infrastructure. We need to also put it correctly, because what happened was that after the 7th administration was put in place, there's been a lot of meetings that were called by, we call them DBE because it's a national department, So when we say DBE, we are referring to our national minister. There was a lot of questions and letters written by DBE to us. And when I asked the team, they said DBE says they are assessing if we will be able to utilize the money or not. And according to the minister, she has got a prerogative, just like me, if it was at my level. I will have the prerogative to decide where to take the money because it is her money. It is not our money. It is National Treasury's money. So the prerogative of the minister was that through those reports, she took a decision to withdraw the money. It was not yet at the shores of Limpopo. It was our money according to allocation, but it was still in their accounts. So through the reports, then they took a decision that we will not be able to utilize that money. And I think by the time I sourced the support of the Premier to go and speak with the minister and also Treasury, not to take that money, we were late. I'm sure a CFO, you'll remember, we wrote letters, we did everything. When they went to cabinet, premiers were invited. We gave everything to our Premier. She had a meeting with the minister and also the Minister of Treasury. By then, the DBE minister has already taken a decision, and I think the money was divided to do some other things as part of their prerogative. So there was that issue, but we'll work on it not to deal with the issues. I think we have got a problem when it comes to the categories of the toilets, because you have got pit latrines, you have got Enviroluz that uses holes as well, which are not waterborne, but which has got a technology that has improved from being a pit latrine, and also now you'll have waterborne facilities. There's an issue that you spoke, which we are taking, Chair, we are taking the inputs, but I just need to also clarify the issue of the crashes and the schools. The crashes, there are two issues that are happening. The crashes were in the social development, and now they have been put to education. And in education, we are saying it's compulsory for a 3-year-old to be in class. So in the last MINMEC, we have also commented, because government at national parliament has to amend it's called what, Children's Bill, or the Children's Act. It has to amend, because now we are saying it's compulsory for a child from 3. So we spoke about safety, we spoke about the registration of these crashes. We spoke about forcing ourselves as government and also the owners, because on the registration of the crashes, there's an argument about the ownership by that person who owns their own garage. And they say, this is my crash. Now we are saying, it's not your crash, it's a school. Who owns it? So these are some of the things that we debated in the last MINMEC, honorables, through you, Chair, and then we are agreeing on it. So immediately when that bill goes into being an act in Parliament, it will answer some of the issues that we are seeing. And I think the other technical issues, I just wanted to speak to some of the things that I felt they are also towards us will then, if ever I feel that there is other issues. Chair, we are hosting the Association for Mathematics Education of South Africa. There's an entity called AMESA. AMESA is an institution that is for mathematicians. They are in the province. As Limpopo, one of our teachers who's also a principal is the president of AMESA currently. So this morning I was with them. They are in Tefluop, in University of Limpopo. One of the things that they will be discussing will also be about how to effectively use the MST for the benefits of the maths and science schools, which you are saying, like our document says, we were on 63% last year. So we continue to be a province of mathematics and physical science, and will continue to really push for that. So I'll hand over to the HOD, and I'm sure the other members. There's no director that does not have a question here. So all of them are going to speak. Over to you, CFO.
As you hand over to the CFO acting HOD, there's a question that is posted online. They are saying, may you kindly ask the department why majority of schools in the province do not have security guards and admin clerks?
Thanks, Honorable Chair, MEC. Let me start from the person next to me, Dr. Smelani. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Acting HOD. Thanks, Honorable MEC. Thanks, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. I'll be responding to questions that were directed to issues of curriculum, specifically. Let me start with on the curriculum front, there is already transformation of the curriculum. Members are actually spot on with their questions, because I think over the past 5 years now, curriculum has been transformed to include, over and above the academic stream, now we have the vocational stream. Now we also have the occupational stream. So we are talking about the three-stream model, and that is what Honorable MEC has actually just mentioned. And all the provinces, including ours, are actually piloting that kind of curriculum already. We can give even the specifics in terms of the number of schools. Now, introducing the diversified curriculum into the three streams, one of the strategies to improve the implementation and the uptake of the two additional streams is introducing or designation on an incremental basis schools that we call focus schools or schools of specializations, among which we can talk about schools of agriculture, we can talk about schools for mining, the list goes on. Now, as part of the strategy, MEC has already indicated that our approach as the department and as the province is firstly in increasing those number of schools that will offer the upcoming specializations. We'll be looking at this special economic zones in the province. There are areas or districts that have got belt of mines. So therefore, the curriculum that will be offered in those schools that will be designated along those districts will offer in the main engineering subjects, etc. I don't want to talk about specifics. And there are areas or districts that are largely for agriculture. We'll do the same. As we increase this number of schools, we increase the number of schools of agriculture, which will be aligned to the agricultural industry, etc. We have got 55 such schools that have been provided by the provincial government as the target for 2025-2026. Currently, we are sitting at 18, we are sitting at 27 such schools, so we have to meet the target of 28 schools that need to be designated to try and meet the target set out and to expand the curriculum offerings, as it were. On the math, science and technology conditional grant, a lot of counsel has been provided and directives have been provided by honorable members. We really welcome that. But in terms of specific questions like what is being done on the money that has been underspent, what we do is to apply for a rollover to Treasury because by the end of the financial year, we already have got projects that we have committed part of the budget to. So therefore, in order to be able to pay for those procurement plans which could not be completed in the previous financial year, then we request for a rollover, so that when the budget standard policy review happens in October, that if that is approved, then we are able to pay for. We utilize the underspent money. In terms of measures to try and mitigate this challenge of underspending, this financial year, we have already done a benchmarking, for instance, to roll out the e-education strategy or e-learning, if you wish, and that is the ICT integration into delivering curriculum in schools. So we've got teachers that are trained on an annual basis to be able to utilize ICT as they deliver curriculum and assessment, but we also provide connectivity to schools. As we roll out ICT, we also provide gadgets like tablets, like laptops for teachers, etc. So the tender, in terms of preparing to advertise the tender for this financial year as early as possible to avoid delays, we have already done the benchmarking of terms of reference that will go into the bid for the tender. And the terms of reference have already been drafted and submitted to supply chain management to be taken forward for approval. In terms of monitoring the Reading for Meaning program, at head office, we target 300 schools for officials based at head office to use a tool that we call early grade reading assessment. That is the tool that we use to assess the improvement in terms of reading for meaning. But we also set specific targets for each district for officials to do the same monitoring utilizing the plan, the tool, sorry. Secondly, on a quarterly basis, we hold with all subject advisors, we have what we call quarterly review meetings, where we review the targets in terms of how far are we in terms of meeting the targets that we set for the entire year. So that's the plan. With regard to the teaching of mathematics and the competency of teachers, of some teachers who are teaching mathematics, which is not actually at a desired level, how do we identify those? We use, on an annual basis, we use what we call diagnostic reports from the National Senior Certificate Examination, which are produced by National Basic Education. Those reports make specific identification of problem areas in terms of content per subject. So we use those reports to put together our improvement plan and the training of teachers. We also use what we call, in the province, we also use what we call the quality management system, and that is the performance evaluation of teachers, of departmental heads at school level, as well as principal. So from that, we also identify developmental needs from rolling out that system. And finally, for every teacher development program, training program, we start by doing a needs analysis in terms of identifying gaps for development. So we use the 3 instruments to identify the areas for improvement in terms of development. I think I would stop at that. I tried to stick to the key to the key ones. Thank you very much.
From now on, I think I'll have to allocate, ke thoma ka wena Ntate Moloi, not more than 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Because
And
otherwise I'm about to lose 3 members
yeah,
here. who
no,
must
we'll
join
be
NCOP.
very quick there.
4, yeah, I will not left with anybody.
Yeah.
We
So
should
no, let's
finish.
just summarize. I'll even try to do less. Just to respond to the point of under expenditure under MST, to clarify that there are only 3 posts that are funded from the grant. All of them are filled. So the technical under expenditure that we used to have is because the other person is still paid from the Eastern Cape budget because their deployment is managed by DBE. So Eastern Cape has to claim from us, and they delay to claim, and it appears as under expenditure on our part in terms of COE. That's that. The other question relates to the vacancy rate in terms of the percentage. The percentage is not 50%. Because if you say 50%, we are an employer of 60,000 people. So if it's 50%, it means that you're saying 30% vacancy. So we are sitting at around 13% vacancy, and the norm that is acceptable is 10%. The problem that we have is the high attrition rate. The numbers that we have provided in the response, they are actually the turnover on an annual basis. So the tactic is, and the strategy is to chase that number, fill them as and when people leave. The question was, how many have you filled since April? We've already replaced, and majority of whom are teachers, we've already replaced 1,000 on permanent basis, 1,087. And few of these people are appointed from the residual of the recruitment plan that we had that overlapped into the new financial year. So what we do in terms of schools is that every class must have a teacher at all the time. So that is what we do. Now coming to the technical question around budgeting, and I'll leave the rest, Chair, that Honorable Smale asked in terms of the budget. When we budget, there are 2 ways of doing it. First, the straight line in terms of your current head count and see how you'll carry it, assuming that you stay with the same people with the same cost. And then you then budget totally for every employee. That is the spreadsheet that you are using. But the reality of the matter is that when you say you have got me, who is 36 years experience, and I am to leave during the year, when you replace me, you save almost 100,000 per year in terms of the salary that you pay to the new entrant. So we then decided with Treasury to say, what do we do in terms of budgeting? Because if you do straight line, you over budget and you claim that you'll have an under expenditure. You'll have an over expenditure. Yeah. But then when you do the trend-based budgeting, which is now looking at the actual cost and how you will carry to, including these factors that I've mentioned in terms of the cost of replacement, wherein there is a principle where we talk about demographic benefits, employing the young in the place of the old. Then we are able to then do that projection, which then indicates that there is actually going to be an under expenditure, given the trend of attrition that we have. So we want to give you comfort. We'll never overspend on COE. We're keeping a watch on it, reporting to Treasury on a quarterly basis. Our budget is scrutinized in terms of what we are projecting. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Honorable Chairperson, and thanks to our MEC for the opportunity, because she said we must have something to respond to. I'm just going to save time because from the strategic planning point of view, we have noted the concerns that have been raised, especially on the underspending, because underspending means that there is a compromise of some sort on service delivery. So as the custodian of the strategic plan and the annual performance plan, we will make sure that we improve on service delivery, thus then also improving on spending. So we'll make sure that all 7 programs across are actually held accountable in making sure that the quarterly performance review sessions that are conducted by the MEC will then hold each program manager accountable to make sure that there is spending, there is also service delivery. Let me save 2 minutes time of my session and accord that to Mr. Lesedi. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much, Honorable MEC, Honorable Chairperson and members. Let me speak to the issue of monitoring of independent schools and the curriculum they are offering. The independent schools are offering the curriculum, national curriculum statement, CAPS syllabus, which we are monitoring under the Quality Assurer Umalusi as an independent body, and indicate that we do monitor them even on issues which they have to comply with when they apply for registration and also for them to qualify for subsidy. So we monitor the compliance in terms of the curriculum they are offering, and even on matters of compliance, which I might just cite few things. The policies which they must have in the schools. The curriculum issue I've already spoken about. The infrastructure compliance status, which amongst other things looks into account the issues of safety, and also the qualifications of educators, who amongst other things they must be registered with SACE. So these are the things that we monitor them on as a department during the course of the financial years. Amongst other things, even the issues of performance, because there's a certain threshold of performance which they must comply to. And then quickly to the issue of the low-cost structures for the ECDs. We are continuing with the structural designs coming from social development. The word low-cost structures is just to say we're not going big, because we are investing in already existing infrastructure which is run by the private individuals who are supposed to comply to our standards as government. And there are those structures which we are also constructing, and we are biased towards communities wherein there is no access, and we are strictly utilizing the conditional grant coming from national to make sure that we increase on access in those communities. And there are those that we are constructing in partnership with the benefactors. There are 3 that we are constructing now in Tabazimbi area with Tusanan Trust, and then we are also working with Ford Foundation, Sasol Foundation, Masmat, and local mines in areas wherein they are mining. And then, yeah, I think these are the issues which were directed to the, yeah, which I should be attending to in the interest of time. The other ones, they are not, is in terms of the plans. What is it that we are doing to make sure that the structural status of the ECD centers are compliant to, amongst other things, the issues of safety. And let me quickly speak to the issue of matched schools infrastructure. We do engage the communities within which the schools are to be matched, for them to make submissions to us as to whether they are having interest of utilizing those schools for any other purpose of benefiting the communities. And when they apply, we then make submissions to the Department of Public Works for repurposing. There are those that are used by technical colleges. I know Mogalakwena TVET is using some in the Wahome, and then there are those that are used as clinics under the Department of Health, because the Department of Public Works has approved, and then they have been repurposed. These are some of the engagements that we are engaging on with the communities before we can even hand them over to the Department of Public Works, because the Department of Education is no longer using them for educational purposes as the user, and then we take them back to the custodian, being the Department of Public Works. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Acting HOD, Honorable MEC, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members. There's a lot for infrastructure, but I'll yeah, fortunately, I'll try to avoid those that my MEC has actually addressed. I'll start with the issue of the the activities that we've got or items that we've got on the procurement plan in relation to condition assessment. There was a question around this. I think these are three different things. Just to explain, there is the procurement of the infrastructure technical resource unit, which assists us as additional technical capacity in the department. There was also the tender for condition assessment, which is something different. It's a tender for appointment of a service provider to conduct a condition assessment of all the Department of Education assets in the province. So this is also something which is standalone. And the third one, it's a maintenance contract that we also put in place for grade 1 to 5. This is actually meant to assist us with facility maintenance in all our facilities, things like plumbing, electricity, and general building where there's a need, because we do not really have a structure that is assisting us with such work when it is needed. So that is the difference between the three category of procurement items. There was a question around maintenance, where we have achieved 17 in terms of instead of 15 that were targeted, and there was a question where the money came from to fund this extra 2. You will recall that our targets are actually based on the projects that we foresee that will be completed that particular financial year. But it doesn't mean that these are the only projects that we're implementing. We've got a lot of projects that we're implementing which are multi-year by nature. So somehow you do have instances where those that you expected to be completed the next year are completed on time. I mean before time. So this will obviously add to your targets. The issue of non-performing contractors, and there was also issue of a question around what we indicate as the recovery issue. What we're indicating here is that as much as you can invoke the clauses of the form of contract and undertake this consequence management on contractors, unfortunately, these processes, the delay that you incur when you are going through these processes, it's unfortunately not recoverable. Even when this service provider, most of them do recover, but you can't recover the lost time, unfortunately. Yeah, I think the MEC addressed the issue of Metsi this additional information that was also requested, we will provide this in terms of the timelines for unfinished water projects, timelines for completion of storm damage schools projects. We'll also provide these timelines. How many schools are still relying on pit latrines in the province? In terms of our reporting to court, there are categories. And there are 3 categories. The first category is schools that are completely relying on pit latrines. With regard to that category, we actually have 5 schools that are left, and all of them we've got contractors. In fact, one of them, we are providing that school with flushing movable toilets, so it should be removed from that list. And the reason why we're doing that is because we are building a mega project there which will take a bit of time, maybe the next 2 years, to complete. So we are providing the school with these toilets in the meantime, so that they will not fall in that category of priority one. So those are the schools that are left in that priority. But we still have a number of schools where we must go and also assist with appropriate sanitation, because they have a mix of appropriate and inappropriate sanitation. That is another category that we are attending to in terms of the arrangement that we have with court. Yeah.
Going to supposed to respond the one on the security, the one that I've said was asked on, or
Yeah. Okay, I think Mr. Litsedi spoke to the merging. Yeah, he spoke to the merging, but no, I still had a lot, but it's okay. Okay,
No,
thank
no,
you.
I think we'll say on this once he's done, because remember, we're still going to have a dedicated date that MEC, we're still going to lobby the date with you to discuss mainly infrastructure, where he will be able to give us more details about that. Yeah, because,
Yeah.
okay.
Thanks, Chair. In relation to the question asked by the honorable members earlier on about provision of security, and even the online question, we are providing security to schools. All our special schools have been provided with security, physical security. All the state-of-the-art schools are provided with physical security. And there are some of the public schools, given the challenges that are there in the areas that are provided with security. But unfortunately, due to budget constraints, we are not in a position to provide all the 3,619 schools with physical security. The last part was the issue of the clerical staff for schools. It is simply due to budget constraints that we are not able to cover all the needs in terms of the schools, but it is a matter that is being considered in terms of making sure that we then provide some kind of assistance to schools in this respect. Thank you very much.
Over to MEC if you want to round up. Okay. The road towards closure.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'm not going to spend a lot of minutes, just to indicate that on the issue that it was posed regarding the service providers that are not performing, just to indicate to the committee that we had a meeting with them, just to indicate to them that we are not only going to discontinue the service with them, but we will report them to National Treasury to blacklist them, because we have realized that sometimes they will do project in two different departments, and when they get paid, they will take money from Department A and provide. So we'll have to actually blacklist them. And on the issue of budget to youth, people living with disability, we have what we call discretionary budget according to Treasury, whereby we are saying for the quotations, the department can use that as a discretionary. And what we are doing, because we are being checked on a quarterly basis, so on our SOP, we have agreed that we will make sure that on a quarterly basis, we inform the districts and the head office which category to target, because we have realized that we are still lacking on people living with a disability and youth sometimes, but that one I think we will actually work on it. Then the other issue is locality. What we have seen, you'll find that the preferred address for the provider, when they bid for the province, they will say Limpopo, but now when they go to Gauteng, then they will change the preferred address. So it's something that we discussed with Treasury, and they indicated they will check with National Treasury, because when a person changes and already you have been awarded as local, but now when you go to the end, you find that they have changed the locality, then it has impact also on us. I think the others are the ones that we will submit as they were requested. Thank you, MC.
Thanks you, Chair, and to the honorable members. I think we have tried to the maximum possible. I will not speak anymore because I've started when before, but just safe to say that since the President signed the Bella Bill into the Bella Act, we'll request that members also check, because at Parliament they will be processing the regulations. And at our level, we have also started the process through the MINMEC to process regulations, because the regulations are supposed to assist us as the Act has to be implemented, so that then it does not get distorted and we can reverse and also embrace the new issues that the Bella Act is bringing, especially on the mother tongue language, and protecting that every child should have access to a school of choice near where they stay without restrictions. Thank you so much.
While you are still holding a microphone, we wanted to check next week. We've got a session, I think, the adoption on Wednesday. We wanted to check if MEC your diary permits, so that we come and deal with that back to school campaign combined with an infrastructure report as per the template on questions that we've sent, so that we close on that aspect, so that as and when there are issues, we're able to go and conduct a site visit on some of those infrastructure. So you'll check if your date permits, MEC, together with your management, so that we come and close on that aspect. Wednesday, we know Wednesday is your day, is an EXCO day, but just check, if possible, if it's open, just allocate us so that we come and close on that issue, so that we don't have issues piling up. I'm looking at Zagani is looking at me with that thing of saying, now you are taking my job. Yeah, it's the 9th.
We'll look at that, because I can see here we have got a program with the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture. So I'm sure if we get the times, we can be able to work on the times with the other MECs.
I'm sure you'll
That is,
communicate with Zagani.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Let me take this opportunity without wasting more time. You know, when you look at them, when you look at him pale as he looks like, together with Smiley, they've started at 8:30 in the morning with Lidet with his own challenges, so, and the Mamonis. So I really feel for them. But unfortunately, when they raise their hands and say I'm available, they were not aware that this is part of it. So we said we are available, Mamonis, unfortunately. Now you must get into another one in the NCOP, unfortunately. So I want to take this opportunity, MEC, and thank you together with your team. This is one of the biggest departments, and we just have to be patient with it. The bigger the department, the more the challenges. So we just need to work together in making sure that we're going to resolve them. And to the team at this side, thank you so much, colleagues. Yeah, I feel for you, unfortunately. We just have to be here and serve our people. And to the administrators, I can look at her. It's like she's sullen. The face is sullen. She has been here since morning. Unfortunately, Banabakohai, you just have to be here. Let me take this opportunity and officially close the meeting with the prayer. Today, oh yeah, the AMESA issue, I know, colleagues, some of you that are available, some of us will have to be 8:30 in the morning in Agriculture Portfolio Committee. I don't know how we're going to deal with it. We'll just agree amongst ourselves, those that will be able to go. Yeah, this is Mafahla. Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely check. And yeah, there's still a bit of food out there. Have seen a part of it. So those that can still grab, so that is not please, those that can be able to grab, you can grab. Unfortunately, those that so let me take this opportunity and declare the meeting officially closed. We are still on the prayer as we open. We believe the same prayer is closing for us. Thank you so much. Good night.